rub my coffee in the car. Listen.
Okay, everybody. Shalom, shalom, shalom. I hope everybody had a Tawab weekend, Tawab Shabbat. You know, you look up, man, after a busy and pretty much a busy weekend, and Monday's looking you right in the face, man. Time flies, and I know sometimes we gotta get ourselves mentally ready to get back into that teaching grind, that studying grind. So all the brothers out here that are teaching His word, sisters out here that are locked into their husbands and doing the will of the Heavenly Father, I salute y'all. I hope everybody's doing well this day. To the brothers out there at isbhpk Houston, isbhpk Norfolk, Virginia, Rochester, New York, shalom everyone. I hope y'all are doing great today. And may the Most High be with each and every one of y'all. Shalom Kawakav, teaching out there in Guatemala, getting the work done. Peace and love to each and every one of y'all. Today, I wanted to go over a class. It's just important, I think, that for brothers who have been in the truth for a little bit to understand the parameters of what it takes to put a school together and what it takes to kind of establish the proper foundation amongst the body of Christ. And we're going to go into the class today about the fact that our intention is to gather and bring all of Israel together. Our intention is to gather and look after the nation and in hopes that there can be as much unity, peace, and love as possible. And the intention is we can all come together and
that's the goal.
But
what we're building has to be sustainable.
Oh, wow. Okay. One second, John.
Topic on?
Give me 1 second. You guys messed up this Zoom yesterday, bro. I think we'll get this together. Nope, it's not the one. Oh, boy. Bear with me for 1 second, y'all. This is, we're trying to log into Zoom. Let's hope this works.
I might have to catch you on.
Yeah, I think so.
On YouTube, bro. Till you get that.
No, it's on. Actually good. Everything's gonna be okay. Thank the Most High. Okay, so yeah, we're just we had to just get our Zoom link there because we teach on Zoom and on Ecamm live at the same time. So once again, like I was saying earlier, the goal for us, the title of the class, to ask you a question, Mawala, is types of people to avoid while building a school. You know, the intention is to gather everybody together. The intention is to teach everyone and to bring the flock and as much people as you can amongst the body. But the idea that there's just going to be this nonstop unity and everybody's going to gather together, holding hands, everything's going to be great, it's just not a realistic conclusion as much as we would like it to be. So I want to first of all go on to the beginning of class, kind of explaining each teacher's or each camp head's mission statement, where at least what it should be, and the goal of Israel moving forward. And then once we go on to that, then we can start explaining as you're trying to gather and develop young spirits and develop young men and help nurture them, what we have to as young camp heads. I know there's a lot of brothers doing a lot of good work in different cities. What's important for us to look out for and to protect the flock from. So the first verse we're going to go to is Matthew chapter 23, verse 37. Matthew chapter 23, verse 37. Let's get that first verse.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
God. Matthew 23 and verse 37. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings.
So what Christ is explaining is how the leaders and the heads of Jerusalem, they were more focused on just protecting their power, protecting their image, more than making it about gathering the flock and serving the flock. And he said if Christ would have sat back here and made his priority to gather the chickens under her wings, but the people would not. So what he's explaining is that as a nation, our job is to gather people together. Our job is to embrace the sick, embrace the uneducated spiritually, embrace the Scripture says heal the sick, cleanse the leper, right? Mm-hmm. So our job is the goal is to sit back here and gather the people together to heal the sick, develop the sick, teach the sick, and be there for the body. That's been the goal from the beginning.
That's the Hebrews like mission statement. If I'm following Christ, I'm trying to push myself as a teacher or a leader.
As a young leader, there has to be a commitment to the development of the youth, right? Just like Christ is explaining in this chapter. Now we're gonna let this verse go, because this is gonna set the tone for the rest of the class. Give me Ecclesiasticus and the Apocrypha. I need you to give me that. Chapter 18, verse. Shalom everybody. I hope everybody's doing well online. I'm glad the brothers just tuned in. Let's do Ecclesiasticus and the Apocrypha, chapter 18, in verse 13.
Come. Ecclesiasticus chapter 18 and verse 13.
Yes, sir. Let's read that.
Reads, the mercy of man is toward his neighbor.
The only way I can show mercy as a man on earth is how I carry myself with the people I work with every day. That's how I show mercy.
Okay? Those are the neighbors.
The people that you work with.
Okay.
Read on.
Of your own nation.
Of your own nation.
We didn't dwell in these
crazy suburbs out here like we're doing now.
Yeah, exactly.
So the mercy of a man is how he is able to work with the person who has offended him time and time again. Right? Let's keep going.
The mercy of man is toward his neighbor, but the mercy of the Lord is upon all flesh.
The mercy of the Most High is upon all flesh. Okay? Let's continue.
He reproved. He nurtured.
Now he's explaining the nature of how the Heavenly Father deals with us. The Most High corrects and he nurtures. He stings and he builds up. A lot of times the perception of how the Most High, they make him this one-sided power that just forgives, and he has this oodles of forgiveness on deck. But he doesn't explain how the Most High corrects and he nurtures. Nurturing as he develops. Okay? Read on.
And teacheth, and bringeth again, as a shepherd his flock.
He says the Most High is explaining how he develops man, just like how a shepherd develops and trains his flocks. He constantly bring again means to reorganize his path.
So you're a shepherd of a flock. You have to feed them.
Yep.
You have to heal
correct them.
You have to mend them. You do have to correct. You have that bow. There's that long staff.
Yep.
You have to get them by the neck.
And pull.
And it does not feel good because it's against their will.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not conscious. The direction they're going is away from the sheepfold.
Yep.
You got to pull them back and guide them right back to the location that we're going as a group.
Because the Most High understands that Most High always classifies Israel as sheep.
Mm.
So they're a rudderless ship that's going always into dangerous territory, dangerous turf, and it's up to leadership to make sure they're steered in the right direction.
And there's always outside influences, outside sources, outside forces that are trying to take and devour the sheep.
That the sheep are oblivious to, because all they care about is just following their impulses.
Exactly.
And this is why that Most High continues to explain development the way he explains development. Development is based upon constantly readjusting, constantly correcting, constantly teaching, constantly chastising, constantly nurturing. And if you sit back and look at the dynamics of what a teacher does, or what leadership, even young leaders is being trained, is how to be keen and sharp in understanding all the flock that the Most High has given y'all.
So being keen and sharp is I'm conscious of the effect of this environment on this sheep. I'm conscious of this thought, how this thought affects the sheep. I'm conscious of this sheep's patterns and behaviors.
Their tendencies. So you're conscious of the environment. You're conscious of the tendencies of each young man, each student that you are responsible for.
You have to master that. You have to learn that.
And this is what doing the work is.
Hey guys, this question. So through years of shepherding and rehearsing the righteous acts and practicing multiple generations of sheep, right? Is it safe to say that personalities and issues and situations become they go and start being similar? You start getting repetitive scenarios, repetitive themes or archetypes?
If you last long enough, you'll notice it. You'll start seeing the same patterns of people recycle themselves, or at least similarities in how they carry themselves.
Okay.
And so once again, what am I explaining right now? All I'm explaining is how the Most High nurtures mankind and how we are expected to nurture the people around us. Okay? So, we finished verse 13, right?
Go.
You notice the Most High keeps talking about how we develop each other, and how the Most High develops us is the same concept as a shepherd to sheep.
Go.
It's the same nurture, the amount of care and love you have to have for the people that you have responsibility for. And that's number one priority in what you do every day. Making friends is not your number one priority. The protecting of the flock is your number 1, 2, and 3 reason for getting up in the morning. If we can understand the proper priorities that are presented in front of us, then it's easier to sit back and understand and accept the rest of the class as it's provided to us.
No different than a parent, would that be?
Huh?
If I'm a parent, I'm sitting here being a friend, as friendship cannot be the priority over just guidance, proper policy, proper
correction, development,
creating
the proper environment. The crazy thing is, the same concept does operate like a person's house. Because if you're a good parent, you're gonna be mindful of the influences that are around your children. You're gonna be mindful of the influences around your wife, your family, the people that you care about, and you're gonna do everything you can to protect and isolate them from negative influences and environments.
Yes.
Because that's your responsibility as a leader in your household, or a shepherd of a school or a camp, or a high-ranking captain of a school or a camp. So we're gonna let those verses go, and we're gonna go to Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 23. Now this verse kind of goes into what you were talking about earlier, Daviad, about how well you have to understand the flock, how well you have to understand the tendencies of the people that you're responsible for, and how you have to be responsible for the tendencies of the people and how those tendencies, if they're around certain mixtures of people, can affect that person.
So I can't be oblivious.
Yep.
I can't
have a pie in the sky mindset that I can have my students around each and any kind of person and expect there not to be any kind of blowback. That would be a very immature and naive leader and shepherd if I think just because we're all Israelites, I should be willing to embrace every type of influence around the Israelites that I'm responsible for. A lot of times Israel has this immature pie in the sky mindset that we can bring all of Israel together and expect there not to be blowback.
We all have the blood of Jacob.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
Listen, I learned that lesson when I was living in the brother's house. We had a young brother that had a lot of issues overcoming addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a new Israelite come out of nowhere. He moved down out of nowhere. He was Israel back. But hold
on. He said, when he saluted, he said, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbat.
He said, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbat, and he's from the old school.
Yes, he was.
He's from the old school. Woo!
Yep.
This brother's new.
True story.
He was 4 to 6 months deep in the truth, and he was trying to get past his threshold of addiction. And the guy told him, listen, you're free in Christ. You can do what you want with your temple.
Yeah.
And the New Testament isn't necessarily true because we can't prove Paul existed.
Yep.
And by the way, you can't really prove we're Israelites because where are the artifacts?
Yep.
Because he reads a lot of
Egypt knowledge. Kemet stuff.
What doesn't know is he's entertaining Kemet theology, philosophy, and he was a previous Israelite quote unquote, he kept the Hebrew name, but it's entertaining Egyptian belief.
Yep.
So brothers didn't pay attention, didn't vet.
They didn't vet.
They didn't vet. They let anybody walk in the house.
Because they knew you. Because they knew brothers in the past.
Next thing you know, months later, this dude was smoking with this brother for months, and the brother never broke that wall.
Yep.
And he was in the truth for years, but he could never break his wall, and it became his undoing. But guess what? The shepherd at the time didn't want to vet and make sure, hey, this is the rules, this is how we operate. If you're against that, you can have a good day.
Yep.
But you're going to sit here, oh, you got a Hebrew name?
We're friends?
You're welcome. You're welcome here.
Come on in. Brother.
Because the brother has something to offer.
Or it was just, or I'm not going to make that assumption. I'm just going to say, because we're friends and I know you and we're brothers,
God.
You know what? Then let me bring you amongst the other brothers because you need help. Not realizing you might need help, but your presence has a toxic effect on the sheep that need more attention. Yeah. Whereas the other person might have had 10, 15 years to choose what he wants to do and to choose his path. Now, I'm going to sit back here and take a person who had his shot and chose not to put the Most High first to endanger the 7 to 8 men that he was right next to frequenting himself with. Thank the Most High, the 6 of the 7 didn't take to him. But now we made a person who was already vulnerable get even weaker around a negative influence.
So a shepherd can't mix goats with a sheep.
I don't even want to make it like goats and sheep, because that makes like El Diablo and like the good sheep. You just can't mix influences. You know what? The scriptures are gonna go into it.
No problem.
I don't want to sit back here and over talk it and overlead the point, but I'm going into the shepherd sheep concept because teachers, it's not just about getting up on a podium and acting smart and acting like you know information and teaching Bible scriptures. There is a literal responsibility that we have over the people that have chosen to give their lives to us. We're going to mess up the internet today. It's like a whole week and a half of chaos. It's crazy.
This is garbage.
We're going to go to the competition spectrum because you guys are garbage. Anyway, let's get back to the story here, okay?
So you're saying sheep, shepherds, divisive forces.
Yeah, sheep, shepherd, divisive forces. And our responsibility is to sit back here and look after the sheep to make sure that the body is looked after and considered and protected. Con, yeah, I'm hearing what you're saying. It's possible, but it's like our job is to fight to protect them from any possible influence that would surround them. We're going to go into some more proof. Give me Proverbs 27 to 23.
God. Proverbs 27 verse 23. Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look well to thy herd.
Listen, there has to be painstaking effort that comes to looking after the estate of the flocks. It's a lot of work that is taken to sit back and understand why brothers do what they do, what are their tendencies, how do they think, how do they process, how do they handle responsibility and pressure. It's hard work to give your mind to what let me see.
And just looking the part regards to that. You have to show their actions to show that they're consistent.
And you can't just look the part. There's real work that comes to understanding each person in the body. Yes, Mawilla?
I got a definition for state if you want.
The state?
State.
What you got?
Condition.
Okay.
The circumstances of a being or thing at any given time. These circumstances may be internal. I have crisis, stationary point.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. It's still about figuring out and understanding what works for certain brothers and what doesn't work for certain brothers, and fighting to make sure, as you understand, the more you understand their tendencies, the more you understand our people and what works for them and what keeps them strong and what doesn't keep them strong. The challenge is to keep the conditions around them. What's the word? You want to keep the conditions around the people you work with
simple, clear,
amiable, or healthy enough and conducive. That's the word. Conducive to staying strong. Because when you're developing even for those of us who understand science projects, remember you had your variable group and your control group. Mm-hmm. And the variable group is the different things that might change
And affect the process.
When you're dealing with developing a spirit, you have to make sure to eliminate as many possible variables as you can for the benefit of the student. The only thing that matters is their development. Any wild cards and variables and outside influences, you got to protect the people so that they don't get in danger. So we're going to keep going. Let that verse go and go to 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 2. I promise y'all this is not going to be a flock class, but I want to give a few verses concerning how important it is to look after the flock and to make sure the flock is taken care of. So, 1 Peter's,
It's priority one though.
that's the first and second, third priority is the flock. Shalom, everybody.
All decisions are made in really protecting and really analyzing how can I improve the estate of my flock.
Got it. But the way you improve the flock is to create a greater system and to eliminate as many variables as possible in the system that you're trying to create to provide further stability and strength for the environment around you. Read that.
1 Peter chapter 5 verse what was that?
Verse 2.
Okay.
It's 1 Peter's chapter 5 and verse 2.
1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 2.
Somebody give me oversight. Read that.
Feed the flock of the Most High.
So once again, it still talks about that flock. And it still talks about that the number one influence and the focus is to feed and develop the flock. Just like Ecclesiastes 18 and 13 said about reproving and nurturing. The nurturing is the feeding. The nurturing is the development. And we also know through the New Testament that the feeding is with the word.
Come.
Okay? So read that verse again from the top.
Come. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 2.
Yep.
Feed the flock of the Most High, which is among you.
Our job is the flock that's in front of us. That's our number one job also. I can't focus on the entire nation because I'm not responsible for the entire damn nation. I'm responsible for the people that the Most High is giving me responsibility for. Everybody wants the Most High says you have to be faithful over the few things before you rule over what?
Man.
I can't worry about the bazillions of Israelites walking on the earth. I got to worry about the people the Most High has made me responsible for. Then I'll worry about everybody else later. That's my number one responsibility, as should be all of y'all teachers out here trying to lead. Read on.
Taking the oversight thereof.
We're going to find out what the definition of oversight is. Our job is to take the oversight in regards to the development of the people.
Oversight, an omission or error due to carelessness.
That's not oversight.
That's the sense of I was negligent in my duty and I misstepped.
Okay.
I miscalculated. I wasn't paying attention.
1820. I always want 1828.
God.
Oversight.
Superintendent's watchful care.
Listen, there's a watchful care that we have to have for the flock. And if I'm truly focused on giving a watchful care to the body, that I'm also keen on what's good for them, and I'm extra keen on what's bad for them. If you're a mother and you have a child, aren't you going to sit back here and study the patterns? What foods does my son like? What foods does my son or daughter not like? What gets my child sick?
What are they allergic to?
What are they allergic to? What's unhealthy for them? What makes them sluggish? What as I'm learning his or her tendencies, how can I accentuate the strengths and help eliminate the negatives? This is what you do for your children. This is what you do for your children at home. You make sure you eliminate any negative influence or environment to give your child the best chance they can to nurture and grow and be potent. It is the same thing that we have a responsibility to do as brothers in this truth. That's the greater priority than this pie in the sky. Let's all hold hands in kumbaya and sing old Negro spirituals. Because that's really the mindset a lot of Israel has also. So we have to make sure that the body that was in front of us is taken care of first. Then we expand out. So once again, the title of the class is Types of People to Avoid While Building a School/Camp. So as we're sitting back here and building the flock and focusing on the men and making sure that our superintendents and watchful care is on the body. And as you're learning the body and learning and understanding what's going on with the men, there has to be an acute awareness of what's healthy and what's detrimental to the body. Continue in 1 Peter's.
Come. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 2. Feed the flock of the Most High, which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint.
And listen, by the time you get to the point where you're 1,000, not even 1,000, I'm talking about a 5,000, 10,000, a captain, 13,000, whatever it is, general, you should have proven to your heads at that time that the only thing that matters is the body. And nothing that you do at that point is because you're being made to do it. It's because you want to do it. It's because that's the only thing that matters to you, is that the body grows. What you want out of the deal doesn't matter. And this is what Paul is reminding us. Everything we do should be willing and out of the sincerest desire of our hearts to get accomplished. Read on.
But willingly, not for filthy lucre. Lucre.
You made it real fancy liqueur.
You have liqueur in you.
It's something like a licorice type of thing, a liqueur. No, it's not for filthy lucre. And that's just money. What we do every day can't be to make our lives comfortable and to benefit our personal agendas. Okay? I'll read on.
But of a ready mind.
The ready mind to sit back here and put the body first, the men first, the sisters first, the families first. I didn't say that in the proper order. It's obviously, when they're dealing with a camp, it's the body, the men, the women, and the children. Okay? The work comes before all of it. None of us get the priority. Let's not forget that. Okay? So, read on. But of a ready mind. You read that, right?
Come.
We're going to let that verse go. We're going to go to Acts chapter 20. We're going to go to Acts chapter 20. And we're going to go to verse 28 through 35. Now we're going to start kind of narrowing down as we're focused on being the shepherds. As we're focusing on making the priority the body and the men and the families and making sure that their development is paramount. We also have to be conscious of these different influences that get in the way of their development. Let's get this. Acts chapter 20, verse 28 through 35.
Acts chapter 20 and verse 28. Take heed therefore.
And don't forget, 1 Peter 5 and 2 said, everything we do for the body is not for lucre's sake, for money's sake, or for personal gain and advantage. Right?
God.
That's the key. Now we're going to read this in Acts.
Acts chapter 20 and verse 28.
Mm-hmm.
Take heed therefore unto yourselves and to all the flock, over the which the Holy Spirit hath made you overseers, to feed the church of the Most High, which he hath purchased with his own blood.
This verse sounds identical to what we read in 1 Peter chapter 5 and 2, to take heed, to be conscious of the flock the Most High has given each and every one of us to be responsible for. We're responsible for being overseers, not bosses, but we're supposed to sit back here and have the oversight. The responsibility is to look after the body. Read on.
Acts chapter 20 now, verse 29. For I know this, that after my departing...
Now this is what he's saying. He says he's reminding the people to be alert and vigilant and to hold on to these concepts that he's teaching. Because one thing Paul understands is, as soon as he leaves, there's going to be a certain influence that tries to push itself and force itself amongst the flock. It was the same influence that Paul was protecting the flock from the very beginning. Read on.
For I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves enter in among you.
Grievous wolves.
Grievous wolves.
What is that?
Yeah, listen. Let's get grievous real quick.
I say it.
Let's get grievous, and I'm just gonna freestyle wolf.
But wolf, actually,
An animal.
wolf
He's
goes
an
hard.
animal. I know
Wolf
that.
goes hard, man.
Duh, huh?
Wolf goes hard, man.
You got one? Somebody give me grievous stuff. Yeah, you get wolf.
I got
I guess it's gonna be an untamable animal, insatiable. What you gonna say? What you got?
Come on. Afflictive, painful,
This is for grievous.
kind of grievous,
Mhm.
causing grief or sorrow.
Exactly. So there is a person, because we're not talking about a figurative animal. There is a person. There are people that are always willing to afflict what?
Causing grief or sorrow.
Causing grief or sorrow. What do you got?
Oppressive, burdensome.
So oppressive and burdensome. There's people who are more focused on getting, taking, than giving. Because if you sit back here and get to the core of what 1st and 2nd Corinthians is talking about, I think it was chapter 8, where it says it's not fair that damn it. It was talking about
Some are eased, other burdened.
yeah, some are eased and other are burdened.
Yeah.
Because in order for a body and a camp body to operate properly, the body has to operate with the proper what do you call it? I want to say being in sync, but I don't want to say being in sync. I want to say I guess a proper coordination of sacrifice and giving. Self-sacrifice and receiving.
Proper ratio. There's a ratio, bro.
You have to give and you're going to get back. You got to give and you got to get back.
The part is giving first.
But the problem is this: because you give, the Most High gives you back from other sources and people. Yeah. But a lot of people come into the school. A lot of people want to come around the body just to take. And that's what the wolf really means.
I got the scripture for it.
What you got?
That scripture, I got the definition for it. It says wolf. It says a rapacious person.
Right? A rapacious.
Yeah, so I had to look it up.
We got to. Pray tell me more about this rapacious person.
A rapacious person, right? Figuratively, rapacious.
Okay, rapacious.
Rapacious.
Is that an 1828 word, man?
No, I guess so. I don't know.
But how do you spell it? Rapacious?
Yeah, like rapa-cious. So
Repa or rapa?
Yeah, rapa-cious. Rapacious.
Okay.
But I couldn't get it at 828.
There it is. Boom.
But it says rapacious.
Oh, this is great.
That a wolf is a rapacious.
It's rapacios.
Rapacios.
In the Espanol. Rapacios.
In Latin, it means to seize.
Okay.
It means to seize in Latin.
Yeah.
Right here it says aggressively greedy or grasping. What's a grasping person?
Wow, bro.
I'm taking.
Yep. And here is the 1828's rapacious. I'm saying it all. I messed it up by saying rapacious. But what it means is, given. Rapacious. Okay. Thank you, whoever the hell it was in internet land. Rapacious. It says given to plunder.
Wow.
This is what a wolf does. Listen, this ravenous person is sitting back here and like talking antichrist stuff and and is sitting back here and saying the devil's a lie and the Most High's a lie. They're sitting back here saluting you too. They're saying shalom, I love the brotherhood, but all they give a crap about is taking. And the more you are in the work, you start seeing a lot of people that come around that they take way more than they give. And he says this is what Paul was teaching other teachers and other men to look out for. Watch the people who are trying to take. All they come around is to take or do things to build themselves up.
Wow.
These are the people who you have to watch out and protect the flock from.
It's another similar word or synonym is acquisitive, right?
Okay.
Which is excessively interested in acquiring.
Woo!
Excessively interested in acquiring. It's about them acquiring something.
Because this is what you deal with when you deal in a teaching in a Bible setting.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to teach, right? And the 2 Timothy 2:2 talks about you're supposed to teach so that you can develop people who will teach others also, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Read that verse real quick. 2 Timothy 2:2. I think it's 2 Timothy 2:2.
God. It's 2 Timothy 2.
Read that.
2 Timothy 2:2. And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also.
The goal is to teach and develop people so that they learn that what teaching and development means. They're supposed to hear your words, your information, your example, and understand that, hey, what being a teacher is teaching, development, and giving your life to the flock and protecting the flock. That's what we hope that we gain as we teach and develop men. But Paul is telling you in Acts 20 and 29 that there's going to be people that just want to take from the flock. What do they want to take? They want to take resources. They want to take help. A lot of people want to come around the flock just to get something out the deal, just to drain the resources out of the camp.
Parasites.
Yeah, we're not going to go into that right now, but yeah, they're parasites, people that just take because they want more than what they want to give back. Other people, they want to sit back and be around and be inflated by this teaching the information and looking like they're doing something spiritual. That's being, what was that word? That second word you had? No, the second word. It was acquisitive. Yeah, I got that one.
What would you identify taking deep, like detail wise from the flock?
Well, once again, I just told you it was resources.
Okay.
A lot of times, a person wants to just take and get the benefit of being respected.
Benefit.
People sometimes want to be respected without putting the work in. People want to be acknowledged. There is an inflation of the ego. We get all eyes on you, and the lights on. This is why we're so quick to not give people position and rank and podium time, because a lot of people come in here just to have the lights on them and the spotlight on them and to be the answer guy. You have to look out for men who just want to look like they're in a powerful position, but they don't want to put the work in like everybody else.
I won't put their life on the line.
Because that is an example of a wolf. I'm still taking resources. Because I want to look like I'm doing something. So everybody else who has to grind and work from the bottom up, damn them. Because what they're taking is the integrity of what's being built here. The integrity of what's being built is how you establish the proper format to develop people.
To replicate the same
system.
Exactly.
And if you got people that want to come in here, and this one Moses says not to seek for vainglory. Because sometimes it's being on the podium is about vainglory. It's about the puffing up of the ego. Because what good is being able to teach knowledge and teach information if I'm not going to be a shepherd? We've been reading for the last 5 or 6 verses about the leader has to be the shepherd and has to take the oversight, the responsibility of being over the body. But there's wolves want to come in and take the shine without the responsibility. That's a real thing. On top of people that come in just to take resources. We've seen that all the time. People come in to get counsel, get angles, get approaches, and then take it and puff themselves up in their own little world.
And in the outside realm, it's men that want to get the pleasure of the woman's body, but don't want to deal with any of the cultivating and responsibility of the household.
God.
But you want the benefits and the financial resources.
But how does a man do? So what does he do? He smiles. He'll sit back here and go through the basic formalities initially to get what he wants.
What's your favorite
Then
color?
he gets out. Oh, for real?
Ooh.
Every time I call, he picks up.
I like that same.
That's all it takes, man.
I like the same song you like. We like the same songs. We like the same music. We have a lot in common.
Let's keep the relationship fun.
We
keep it fun. We keep it light, and all of a sudden you win.
He's always a good guy.
And then all of a sudden, when the hard shit comes, he leaves. This is what Israel does, even in this arena.
Exactly.
Israel's around during feast time, in fun time, in fringe time. When God says lamb, when his lamb out, Israel is here. The numbers are large. When it's time for lamb.
When it's potluck Fridays.
When it's potluck meals or it's gatherings, Israel is sitting back here, standing place on it. When it comes to get the hard work done, nobody's here. And this is an aspect of looking after wolves. They don't have to be somebody. It doesn't have to be something as extreme as I want to destroy the school. I want to see the school fall forever. Like some damn cartoon sinister evil person. It's just talking about watching out and looking after takers. People who just want to take and don't want to give and commit nothing. And this is one of the major responsibilities as a leader that you have to watch out for. Protect your body and your camp from takers.
And in different realms of business, there's people with alternate agendas.
It's going to go into that.
Okay, cool.
So let's keep going. Give me verse 29 again.
Come. Acts chapter 20 and verse 29. For I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves enter in among you, not sparing the flock.
Because what the flock needs and what's best for the flock's nurturing and development isn't as important as what that wolf needs to feel good, to feel satiated, to feel happy in themselves. Because the truth is, if a brother was really about the body, he would be considering what I want doesn't matter as much as what the body and the flock needs. I'm just letting brothers know how brothers are supposed to look after and protect the flock.
The big picture is more important.
The big picture is more than acquiring people. You can sit back here and make the mistake of acquiring people and destroy your flock. Because the more people you acquire, the more people that have ulterior motives. The more people that don't have the same goals and aspirations as the leadership and the young men that you're developing.
Or the same level of sincerity.
Or the same level of sincerity, because it's more about being the wolf than being the shepherd. You got people that want to be shepherds, that want to learn how to follow, or there's wolves that want something out the deal. And this is what that constant war is. That constant fight is to protect the influence to be pure. To protect the flock from people that want to take way more than what they're going to give. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be about wickedness and righteousness.
And new breakdowns.
And the new breakdowns. It ain't got to be
about this new breakdown in it said that everybody was giants and there was angels out there sleeping with the women. No, it's not going. It's not going into that. It's not going into. People just come out.
Anakin's act. That's awesome.
Yeah, Anakin sleeping with them women's. They was out there making giants,
babies,
big babies and giants, and they was out there being wicked. Ain't why a flood came, y'all. It's not talking about that, huh?
Oh my God.
It's because people think it's about this. We're debating knowledge with people. This is about the effect that people have, how they misguide men. Because men get misguided through false friendship, false connections and false bonds,
and the false intentions of men that are being pushed amongst the rest of the body.
And for a fact, we had a brother years ago. Case in point, brother came in. Brother's been teaching him, hit him up. The brother that hit him up, he was doing well. The guy brought him in, he was doing well. You look up, the guy that brought him in went off, took him to a whole different state. They were out there just teaching and smoking up. Then their camp, this is back in the day, old camp. Okay, but the brother that we hit up, we have been hitting him up for a while.
Yeah.
Hit him up for a while, begging to come in, begging to learn. One brother finally got him, and that brother was a wolf. The brother that got him in was a wolf.
Exactly.
Ended up taking him all the way across the country out.
Yep.
And they had a camp that lasted like 4 to 6 months. You know that it was a short-term camp, 4 to 6 months. But the brother never came in the truth. He came in class for a couple months, and then got pulled off by a wolf.
Yep. So let's keep going. Keep going. So now we're at verse 29 again. We're gonna get through this verse. I promise.
Good. Acts 20 and verse 29. For I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves enter in among you, not sparing the flock.
I hope we understand what wolves are. A wolf is just fixated on what they need to survive and what they need to feel good about themselves. And that pursuit is more important than what the flock needs.
Selfish people.
Read on.
Also, all of your own selves shall men arise.
So he's saying you have to watch out for people from the outside coming in, trying to take from the body. And then you have to sit back and always be on lookout at what?
Also of your own selves shall men arise, speaking perverse things, to draw away disciples after them.
So then eventually, the bigger that we get, it's going to be impossible to corral every single spirit and get everybody to see the same direction. That's the challenge. The challenge is, as we continue to grow and we get large numbers, can we continue to keep everybody seeing eye to eye, having the same goal and purpose accomplished? Because what's going to happen is people are going to start developing ulterior. You got people that come into the body with ulterior motives, and you have people that will develop ulterior motives
over time.
So he's like, this is why you have to be so fixated on what's going on with the body, what's going on with the arc of every man's development. the arc of every woman's development, so you can make sure that sisters aren't coming in to the camp just to sit back here and take and get sell things and get money from it. When it comes to get work, all of a sudden they're ghosts. That happens all the time. This is what we have to sit back and look after amongst men, women, and then even amongst the body. Are we continue to evolve in the right pattern and make it about the mission and not the individual? Read on.
Acts 20 and verse 31. Therefore watch and remember that by the space of 3 years I cease not to warn everyone night and day with tears.
This is the importance. Paul said for 3 years, day in and day out, I was looking after the body. And I was protecting the body from all type of influences. Day in and day out with teaching and with tears. He was busting his tail, fearful that somebody would take the flock, distort their mind, or just come try to take from the resources. When you read in the book of Acts, what made the people from Acts so potent is that everything they had was in common. Nobody lacked because everybody shared everything equally. So then if that was how they lived and sustained themselves, then where would a wolf be? A wolf will come in and take.
Ooh.
A wolf will come in to take from the body because they got a good operation going. I can sit back here, slide in here, not have to work, not have to commit, and just take resources. Get benefits. And that's not what this is about. It's never been about that. Everybody had to pull their own weight. And if people didn't want to, then they had to be sit back here and boxed out. So what the point is you're never going to get this perfect scenario where everybody is together at peace and happy. Because the problem is you have certain people that are willing to serve and put the work in first. Others are wolves. The scripture says, what does the sheep have to do with the wolf? That just means you're never going to have unity because you have some people that are takers and some people that are givers. So our job is to keep the givers with the givers and the takers with the takers. And that's the fight. To spot the takers. To spot the individuals. And corral and protect the help. The people that want to help, they want to grow, they want to fight. Now continue.
Acts 20 and verse 32. And now, brethren, I commend you to the Most High, and to the word of his grace, which is able to build you up, and to give you an inheritance among all them which are sanctified. Mm-hmm. I have coveted no man's silver, or gold, or apparel.
Exactly. It's not about taking money and just blowing up for yourself. Read on.
Yea, ye yourselves know that these hands have ministered unto my necessity.
So what he's saying is, I sat back here and did my work too. Read on.
And to them,
I didn't live off you.
I didn't live off you.
I didn't live off you.
I just didn't take from you.
I didn't exploit you.
Exactly. For my benefit. Read on.
And to them that were with me.
Why do you think why do you think verse 33 and 34 is there? Because he's explaining an example of the wolves. I didn't take from you. I didn't cover what was yours. I sat back and did what I could to sustain myself. So I was blameless. Read on.
I have showed you all things, how that so laboring ye ought to support the weak, and to remember the words of the Lord Yahushua, how he said, it is more blessed to give than to receive.
So this is why it's so important. Listen, when you're dealing with the development of people, most of the time, the wolves are the ones who will carry a greater influence. If you have a person who's sick and has his ups and downs, we're required to sit back here and build that spirit up until they choose to move on and live their life. But people who know better and they're still takers, you have to protect and isolate yourself from them. This is how you keep the flock the number one priority. But in the process of doing that, you're going to the people that are aggravated are the wolves. Because they don't get a chance to get in. And get what they want to get out the deal. That's why they're angry. So, read verse 35.
Come, Acts 20 and verse 35. I have showed you all things, how that laboring ye ought to support the weak, and to remember the words of the Lord Yahushua, how he said, it is more blessed to give than to receive.
No doubt about it. We're going to let that verse go. and go to Romans chapter 16 and 17.
Yeah.
Romans chapter 16, verse 17 and 18.
Romans chapter 16.
Mm-hmm.
God, I got it.
Romans chapter 16 and verse 17 reads.
Yep.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned and avoided.
So once again, part of the doctrine is part of how the school has been running for 20 plus years. The doctrine is the established approach in how men are developed.
What works?
What works? What is a tried, true, and proven way to develop men? That's in anybody that's coming in to the body to bring a different approach to how to develop men is who you specifically have to avoid.
And unproven.
Huh?
Most important, unproven.
Because that's why the doctrine is that's why you have to keep a person away, because the doctrine that they're pushing is an unproven method.
They're asking for you to alternate, to deviate, do an unproven method which they themselves have not shown in their own life.
That's happened for
that
multiple
works.
generations.
Your own life does not show this methodology works.
Yep.
This approach works. This is a methodology that will make you feel better and more comfortable. So it's more about how you feel and their comfort zone versus tried and true, time-tested methods.
Exactly.
We're not going to sacrifice the camp for some.
We're not going to sacrifice tried and true, because that's what a doctrine is. A doctrine is a tried and true approach to doing this work that works.
God.
You're not going to trade something that works for something that doesn't work and it's unproven. The crazy thing is, if people have these extraordinary, fancy ways of developing men, go build your own spot and see if it works. And if it works, hell, I'll listen. I'm not going to sit back and destroy our flock and let the flock be the damn test dummies. You do it. But the point is, this is what he means by, and people are pushing different unproven works, acting like it's a better way. Because I'm saying that's been going on in Israel since I came in. I'm talking about mid-90s, man. You had people coming here pushing different ways that were unproven. And thank the Most High, we had leadership that didn't give into that. Because everybody that I saw that followed these unproven ways, they all disbanded. All the schools disbanded and dissolved, following approaches that aren't proven, tried, and tested. So people that are bringing these approaches that are contrary, that are opposite, that brings doubt in a man, brings doubt in young men's faith. Because these contrary approaches, more times than not, the doctrine is an easier, more comfortable approach.
Exactly. That's
why it's contrary. It's easy, it's comfortable, and pushing and trying to teach men there's an easier way to do something. That's how you destroy and weaken men.
They're pushing for convenience.
Because it's convenient to them.
Yeah.
And this is what you have to protect and look after when you have a flock in your hands. And you have to be relentless to not allowing other influences, especially influences that weaken. If I'm going to listen to a doctrine, I'm going to listen to a doctrine that's more, it requires more discipline, more faith, more sacrifice, more long suffering. I'll listen to that. Because I understand this. If you're going to do more of the same thing, at least you're pleasing the Most High.
They want heads to take shortcuts out.
Because everybody wants to look, let's do something smarter, not harder. No, you mean let's do something more lazy and not proven.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm just trying to get people to understand what to look out for when you have all these different spirits that are coming in and want a piece of what you're trying to build.
And they're circulating within your flock.
Within your flock, or they're on the periphery of your flock. Yeah. And this is why you have to hold firm, and this notion of just inviting and allowing everybody to come in isn't the best solution. Okay. Read verse 18. Next person. I need another person.
Yeah.
The brother left.
Come. I got verse 18.
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
Come, verse 18. For they that are such serve not our Lord Yahushua.
Serve not who?
our Lord
They're not
Yahweh.
serving the Most High, they're serving their belly.
You didn't let me finish
First
the verse,
part,
man.
Oh, for real?
You just went the first part, man. Read it from the top again, man. That was 9. That was a big portion, man. Read it from the top again, man. 6 and 18.
Romans chapter 16, verse 18 reads, "For they that are such serve not our Lord Yahushua,
Mm-hmm.
but their own belly."
Exactly. They serve their own belly. That when people are sitting back here giving and pushing advice that waters down the flock, that waters down the standard that you're trying to set up, they're pushing these other doctrines because it is convenient to their flesh. And so what you're getting to understand is that even when you're putting a camp together, you have to fight to keep the standard high. Because everybody's going to want to sit back here and water the standard down so they feel more comfortable around the standard. This is another reason why you can't allow everybody in. Because everybody doesn't agree with how hard you have to work to attain the things you're fighting for in Christ. All we're trying to do is get people to understand why. Why you have to take such strong postures when it comes to your men. Why you have to take such strong postures when it comes to defending the integrity of what you put your life's work into. Listen, this is not something that we take lightly. This is our life we put on the line. We'd be damned if we sit back here and allow every Tom, Dick, and Harry to sit back and bring their 2 cents in to how they think things should happen. Especially when they're not going to give their life up like we're giving our life up. Because if you did, you'd take it more serious. Because a lot of people, they have a greater grasp of putting things in order the right way when it comes to their own homes. Because when it comes to my house, I don't want to lose my children. I don't want to lose my wife. So I'm going to sit back here and lock things down because that's important. Yeah. But we have to take the work and the body and the men as important, even more important than how a man should naturally respond to putting his house in order. Once again, okay. So what you got there?
I got a full scripture. Ecclesiasticus 20 and 22. The point you hit.
Okay.
Ecclesiastes 20 in verse.
So it's Ecclesiasticus chapter 20 and verse 22. Got it.
A wise sentence shall be rejected.
No, 20.
Huh?
Ecclesiasticus chapter 20, verse 22.
Oh, 22. It's like verse 22. There is that destroyeth his own soul.
There is that destroyeth his own soul. How is this person that's in a shepherd position, or a parenting position, or a fatherhood was parenting, or an officership position? How does a person in that position destroy their own soul? What does the scripture say?
God, there's that destroyeth his own soul through bashfulness.
Through what?
Bashfulness.
Through bashfulness, which is modest to excess. Being excessively modest. Being afraid to speak up. Being too weak to put their foot down. Right? Read.
And by accepting a person.
By accepting of what?
Persons.
By accepting anybody in your sheepfold. Accepting anybody in your house. Accepting anybody around your woman. Accepting anybody around your children.
People understand that. Because you ain't going to have any SOB come to the house with some shorts on and a tight tank top just hanging out with your gal, is you? You ain't doing that, bro. Listen, hell, baby, hell no.
Brothers be spiritual when they're
spiritual when it comes to their children and their women. But with the Bible, everybody come around. It's all the unity. What are you talking about, huh? You know what that means? You care less about the flock than you say. Because you'll be careful about who's around your children and your women. But around the brothers, oh, it's just a brother. No. If you're trying to sit back and develop men, you're looking out to make sure that their presence won't be an effect on the body also. Because if you give a crap about the body, you'll be skeptical about whoever is around the body and where their intentions are or what their motivations are. That shows you give a crap. Because that's what a man would naturally do for his home. Keep going, man.
Read.
And by accepting a person's overthrows himself.
By accepting anybody, what happens? overthrows himself.
You overthrow your spiritual purpose. Listen, this is not about augmenting what you're doing. The more wild cards you bring into what you're, the more ingredients you put in your gumbo, there's a chance you might make it worse.
You lose that flavor too.
You'll lose the flavor. You have to make sure that the environment or the influences you're bringing amongst your body is on par or greater than what you're trying to do. You don't want to water down what you're trying to build. Bringing people with ulterior motives in your camp, in your school, doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, now you were talking.
But I want numbers.
Yeah.
I want to look big.
Yes.
Look how many people are following me. Okay.
All right.
That's cool until you got lose control of your sheep, and your sheep are all sick, and they're all manged up out, and
they're doubtful.
They're doubtful.
And you got the school split in 2 or 3 different groups.
Yeah, you got alternate. You got curves in your school lot. It's all good until that happens.
Yep.
Right? So the scripture says you overthrow yourself through blasphemous, allowing anybody in your house, anybody around your kids, anybody around your woman, any philosophy on the television, your kids watching. Daddy, what's that? Well, that's just somebody's gender fluid. It's cool, son. It's just life.
Like regular churches allow that.
Yeah. We're not.
But Israelites can say, man, you don't want to have that environment around your kids. We understand that.
God.
But we can't understand how people that have opposite priorities and mix them around the body is cancerous too. It's the same point. Keep going. I'm sorry.
How can a man lead the flock of the Most High if he doesn't regulate his own what?
House.
His own
so
house.
he's saying the template's the same.
It's the same. It's actually more.
It's more when it comes.
It's more. You should be double. Whatever you are in your house, you should be double that.
In the camp.
In the camp.
Yes.
But brothers are double in the opposite direction.
They're double when it comes to what benefits them, and as far as the body, whatever.
Whatever, bro. As long as
because that doesn't matter.
Because I don't lose. I don't stand to lose if all this time, effort, and energy and investment. I don't stand to lose. Because it's not. They don't really belong. Meaning, listen, bro. Your sheep. They're Christ's sheep, but they're your work.
Yep.
It's your work. We don't own nobody. But if you willingly volunteer yourself, and I'm responsible as a brother for you, then it's my job before Christ to do my job to make sure that I'm not sitting here sleeping on the sheep, letting wolves eat the sheep.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here, another sheep, that's another sheep, Pop.
Yep.
It's okay, brother. We're gonna keep recruiting, brother.
No, most time don't do that.
We're not gonna sit here and just allow us to lose men and weaken and water down men and lose the culture. Yep. What happens? You'll lose the culture of your camp too.
And people will stop having faith in what you stand for.
Come.
But let's keep. You got more on that?
That was it.
Let's
Just
go.
Don't be bashful.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to step on toes and have integrity. And don't be afraid to lose because you're trying to save and spare the body. You're trying to save and protect the body from confusion and wars. So let that verse go. We're gonna go to
Romans 16.
We finished that verse. Verse. Did we? We didn't. Finish verse 18.
Come. Romans chapter 16 verse 18 reads, "For they that are such serve not our Lord Yahushua."
The ones that are teaching and pushing contrary doctrines. The thing is this: if a person wants to push a contrary doctrine, there's nothing wrong with that. Just do it over there. Push your contrary approach across the street, and we'll see if it works. It's to verse 19, sir.
God,
It's okay. Oh no, it was just verse 18. You're right. Just verse 18. But you got to push that. So the point is this: if a person wants to do something contrary, do it over there, and if it's going to work, the most are going to bless you. If it's not, it's not. But we've got the men going in the direction over here, and you can't get around the fact that there's going to be separations, because we have to clearly define what works and what doesn't work. Read on.
God. But their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches, deceive the hearts of the simple.
Because most of the time, good words and fair speeches make a person feel good.
All people want to hear, bro.
Because it feels good and it sounds easy. And most people don't want to hear the truth about what it takes to change, what it takes to grow, what it takes to get to the next step of whatever you're going to get to.
All you got to do is boom, 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 huh?
Bam, bam, bam. But the thing is this: listen, let's see if that approach works in your realm. Don't bring it here because that's an unproven approach.
It's a theorist.
So let's keep that away. And that's what we fight to do here. That's how we spare the flock lost time, lost faith, and anger at the Most High.
Yep.
So, from there, we're going to go to Philippians chapter 3, verse 14 through 19. Philippians chapter 3, verse 14 through 19.
Come. Philippians chapter 3, verse 14. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling and the Most High in Yahweh Shai.
Listen. What our responsibility is to press towards the mark of the prize of the high calling. Our job should be based upon being the greatest and pushing ourselves to the greatest lengths possible to please the Heavenly Father, to be the best example we can, so that teaching Christ is, listen, I know how hard it is when I grew up to see inconsistent examples. I'm talking about from the time I came in on up. How hard it was to do this work when I saw people say one thing and do another thing. Say talk tough talk and say Kwame Ashala every 5 minutes, and you see BS here. But then you see the Bible and you know what can be done if people commit it. And you can see the power in it. You can hear the power in it, but you see constant fallibilities and weakness. I've seen it and I lived it. And I know how hard it was that when you're trying to push yourself and you don't see people pushing as hard as you're pushing, but you got to keep pushing because it's the right thing to do. And trying to muster the confidence and the motivation to be as good as you can, even though you see people constantly talking it but not living it. That's a real damn thing, because it's hard to be potent when nobody else around you wants to be potent. So you know what? When we have an opportunity to establish a camp in a school, you want to damn sure establish a principle to teach men and inspire men and women to be as potent as they possibly can, and to strive for that highest calling that Christ has given us, to be the greatest servant, to be the greatest shepherd as we can be. And if that is the goal, if that's what our motivation should be, then damn it, we have to make sure that there's no other example or influence that gets in the way of everybody's purest form of approaching to be the best they can be. You have to protect that at all costs. I've seen how men get when they're just going through the motions. When every damn day is like Groundhog Day. It's always a cloudy ass Tuesday. Monday through Sunday is a flicking Tuesday. It's either hot or it's cold, and it's unhappiness everywhere you go, and it's just a rat race. Because there's nothing around you motivating you to be the best you can be. That's hell. And the reason we protect the flock is to keep the flock from that spirit of despair and hopelessness that happens when there's no motivation or desire to do anything but just go through the motions. This is why you're supposed to protect your flock from these influences that tell you that it's okay to lax up, take it easy, not take things serious. This is what we fight to keep. Read on.
Come, verse 15. Let us therefore, as many be perfect, be thus minded.
If you want to be perfect, this is the mindset you have to take. The problem is everybody doesn't want to pursue perfection. Nobody is perfect. But there's only a handful of people that want to pursue perfection. And this is why Paul said, if you want to pursue perfection, keep this mindset. Read on.
Come. And if in anything ye be otherwise minded, the Most High shall reveal even unto you.
So if you're missing something and your understanding is lacking, the Most High will reveal, as long as your intention is to push yourself as much as you can, He will help align your mind to the direction you need to work on something that you're missing. Nobody's acting like anybody is perfect. But there's a difference between those of us who want to push ourselves to the limit and those of us who want to live on autopilot. That alone is reasons for division. Read on.
Come, verse 16. Nevertheless, whereto we have already attained, let us walk by the same rule. Let us mind the same thing.
So he says it's important for the people that are striving at that level to all be like-minded.
That's the
the
goal.
scripture says, how can two walk together unless they what?
Be agreed.
So once again, if you got people pushing to their max, then you have to align yourselves with people that want to be pushed. And individuals who don't, you know what? Then align yourself with people that want to operate at your pace. And you'll get more accomplished. But sitting back here and bringing all these different levels of motivations, quote unquote motors and motivations together, and their different tiers, especially at the leadership position, is toxic. We understand that when young men that are learning how to lead, learning how to push themselves, learning how to challenge themselves, you're going to get the variations of motivations. But you can't have this clash of approaches and motivations and energy at the top and expect to get anything out of it. Because if you got younger men that are learning and they get a chance to choose what approach they want, 99% of the time they're going to choose the easiest path. And that neutralizes the nature and the work ethic that's trying to be established from the person who wants more.
Got to pull some right here.
What's that?
This is Leviticus 19 and verse 19. This same concept's in the law also.
Come. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 19. Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind.
So thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with diverse kind. Read on.
Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed.
Thou shalt not sow your field where the field's all disordered with mingled seed. We're going to throw apples and oranges and berries and cherries all in the same area. That's madness. Oh man, this feels crazy, man. There's all kinds of stuff going on here.
This feels crazy, man.
There's got so much stuff in here.
Ooh, flavors.
Right? Listen, Most High is not about that. It's about order. Read.
Come. Neither shall a garment mingled of linen and wool, Slakia, neither a garment that shall be mingled with linen and wool come upon thee.
So I can't have a garment with linen and I got that silk and that rayon at the same time. I got cotton and I got a little bit of polyester all blended together.
Silk.
I'm just mixing fibers and codes together and philosophies.
Yep.
No, Most High is not about that. He's about a pure concept. Okay, if it's cotton, let it be cotton. If it's silk, let's be silk. If it's wool, let's be wool. And if it's apple trees here, let's have apples here. We're not gonna have apples and oranges on the same tree.
Let's set these apple orchards, and this is an apple orchard. Okay?
This is an apple orchard, exactly. Esau's the one who likes to do that. He likes to cut things and splice things. You get the tree growing. You got they
hybrids.
He likes to hybridize everything.
It's all pizza farm.
The Most High has a.
There's a pizza farm. It's 8 different sections of the farm that covers like the sheep, the pigs, and it's got the just different aspects. The tomatoes, the cheese.
It's a pizza farm.
The pizza farm.
Yeah,
That's
like
what
the pie.
Yeah, there's the pie farm. Right?
And Most High don't want a camp like that.
And that's the point. He doesn't operate like that.
He doesn't want his church like that, his camp like that.
He said,
he wants school like
because
that.
even if you see all the schools around the nation, man, listen, I don't agree with how brothers roll in certain things, but you know what the Most High does? Is everybody operating and gathering the people that want to operate at that pace.
That gravitate.
The Most High has different teachers aligned to bring in different students, right? And we can sit back here and say anything else, but we know these guys that rock purple. We only wear purple on Mondays, but you got guys that wear purple all the time, and they have guys there's people that are there aligned to follow them. And you got people that are aligned to follow these other schools. And you know what the truth is? Let them be responsible for the Most High for what they did with their work. They're still on the hook with the Most High. We got to sit back here and be responsible for the standard that we're establishing. And that's what our job is. So, we're going to fight our tail off to keep the standard at the height and the level that we're going to keep it. And if there's individuals who don't agree, then you don't have to agree. Then start your own create your own standard and see what you can get out of it. That's the point. But our job is to protect the flock and, like we're reading here, protect the standard. Let's keep going. Did you finish with that verse?
Come.
Let's go back.
Just showing, even in the law, this concept was still in the law.
All things supposed to be done decently and in order.
Come.
Everything's supposed to operate and function in order.
This is not like, this is what we say.
It's not that.
Come on, bro.
Come. Philippians chapter 3 verse 17.
Yep.
Brethren, Brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk as ye. Mark them which walk so as ye have us for an example.
So he says, follow my example. And mark, meaning point out the people who are willing to walk that same path you're walking. That's what you're supposed to do. We're supposed to sit back here and choose the people that want to operate at the same pace that we're operating at. And build that way. And create a culture that way. And create a culture that can continue to sustain itself for years. So that when people want to sit back and learn how to push to this level, they come here. If you want to give less, you go somewhere else. But this is how you establish a proper system and a proper history.
Yeah.
And you establish the right way to do things. You stick to your standard and you don't abandon your standard. You don't abandon your standard. Find people that are like-minded that want to adapt to that standard. Read on.
Verse 18. For many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now tell you even weeping, that they are the enemies of the cross of Yahushua.
They're the enemies of the cross of Christ.
Yeah, I love the scripture. An enemy of the cross, what does that really mean? The cross is the responsibility and burden
Yep.
that Christ had to suffer under
Yep.
and was willing to die for.
Yep.
So a lot of people become an enemy. The word enemy means in opposition to.
Yep.
A lot of people are in opposition to what Christ symbolized. What did Christ symbolize? Suffering, sacrifice,
Commitment.
service, selflessness, commitment.
Because what do people that are in opposition to what we do always say? You don't have to give that much. You don't got to commit that much. Why give that much?
It's not necessary.
That's not necessary. So what are you saying? I am an enemy to the standard. I'm an enemy to the sacrifice. I am an enemy to commitment. I am in opposition to loss. I am in opposition to suffering. You don't have to suffer that much. You can live your life. That's what the enemies of the cross of Christ is. This ain't nothing to do with breakdowns and verses. This is about, I don't want to work as hard as you. I don't want to live my life under that yoke. So I'm going to find reasons and justifications to tell myself and tell others that you don't got to work this hard.
I have to dilute it because it offends me.
Because I look bad because I'm the only person not doing what everybody else is doing.
I'm offended at your pace, so I have to dilute your pace. And then say when things fall, they're off anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. You get to dilute the product out, and then when things don't work out, they're off.
But when you dilute it by sitting back here and watering down the people that are trying to fight.
By casting doubt.
And this is why you have to keep those influences out.
And those wolves, listen, those are generational. People don't understand. People think it's
This happens all the time.
They-
Paul said as soon as I leave in Acts, they're coming. Because I've been fending these wolves off for 3 years, day and night. As soon as I leave, they're coming for you. Because when people see structure, see stability, they want to go to that stability. But they also, when they go to the stability, they want to sit back here and tear it down from within. It's like, this is a very stable place. We don't got to work this hard. We don't got to push this much. Let's change this and change this. But all these things that you're changing is what contributed to the stability. Anyway, keep going on.
So the mindset is, listen, I can't be afraid to protect the tradition and standard that is supposed to last after we're here. We're trying to inspire people to do this beyond us. No one's going to do this beyond us if we sit here and make it weak and uninspiring. If it's weak and uninspiring,
well, it's not going to be stability for people. The stability is based upon the dedication and the hard work. That's why it's stable.
Exactly.
It won't be stable. It won't be a place that's attractable or a place that people are attracted to come if there wasn't hard work and dedication keeping it afloat.
And we'll do a disservice to future sheep.
Because it's going to fall apart. If you keep weakening the standard and allowing contrary approaches and doctrines to infiltrate and weaken it.
And that's what termites do to a house. You have this big, beautiful house made out of wood. You got your bricks and everything, and the house smells good, and everything's good.
It smells too.
Smelling good in this house. That's like frankincense and myrrh. But then you walk in, you start to analyze the wood beams in your house. You start looking up, you start seeing aspects of presence of termites.
Damage, yeah.
there's termite damage here. Oh, this house isn't as stable as I thought it was. Well, what happened? Well, under the shepherd's nose, these termites were eaten for 3 or 4 years. It's not when a storm comes, your house might not stand up because you weren't being attentive. I should have been checking. Oh, there's termite damage.
But you know also what that means? What it means is that they have to accept that in order to maintain the stability and the fabric of the body, certain people are going to be unhappy and left outside. And that's just a reality of things. Everybody isn't going to be able to be happy in order for the structure and the foundation to be stable.
So that's what the kumbaya concept in Israel
can't happen.
Isn't going to really necessarily truly exist. So when Christ comes, there still will be what? There'll still be opposite factors even when Christ comes.
No, this the Most High says when Christ comes back, first thing they got to do is purge the rebels.
Of the believers.
So the crazy thing is this. If Christ has to purge rebels, do you think we're going to sit back here and ever have this kumbaya perfect scenario where everybody can come and be comfortable at? It's not going to happen. No. So we need to stop acting like this perfect peaceful scenario is going to be there and just accept there's going to be people that are unhappy for the sake of the body to be stable. The wolves are going to be hungry so that the sheep can be fed and sustained. You think the wolf is happy out there when the shepherd is protecting the flock? When the shepherd wants to go here to the wolf's den and then he gets hooked and pulled back, wolf's is like, damn, that was dinner! I ain't got no dinner tonight! And then if those sheepdogs sit back here and run off the wolves want to eat too.
Yeah.
But the reality is, somebody has got to be hungry and deprived so that the flock can be sustained. That's just the game.
Or people have to convert. And that's what?
Because the sheep and the wolves is just about the intentions of an individual. That's all this is. This isn't about wickedness and right. This is about the intentions. That's what we're fighting to keep. We got to keep the flock protected so that people who want more than they're willing to give can stay back. And then when you do that, you starve people out. Then they're unhappy and they're depressed. Why are they unhappy and depressed? Because they want to get without giving.
And when things fall, everybody's unhappy and depressed anyway.
Exactly. So you know what? So protection of the body is paramount. The flock need to get taken care of. That's all that matters. Other associations are less important. And that's just the facts too.
And that's why you said earlier in class that you can't be fixated on friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Because wolves are very successful at building bonds.
Yep.
Because that's how I have to eat.
Yep.
So
alliances
and bonds, that's fantastic. It's all good, but we're on the same page. We got to be on the same page.
And that's why I said, how can two walk together unless they be agreed? We're going to go into that aspect in a second. Let's finish Philippians.
Come, Philippians chapter 3, verse 19. Whose end is destruction, whose power is their belly.
Listen, the only thing that motivates a lot of people is what they got to get out the day.
That they want.
Listen, this is beyond Bible verses and breakdowns. You're protecting people from you're protecting the flock from people's intentions and their needs.
Selfish needs.
Their selfish needs. Because a lot of people have the need to take so that they can feel happy inside themselves. And their need to take
supersedes the benefit of people.
Exactly. Because the trend, I guess the trade-off or transfer in this realm is like 90% give, 10% give back. That's the standard that is set here. So you can't get what you want out the deal without having to give. And that dynamic, we have to make sure we ensure that standard at all costs.
So basically, we're losing for each other. That's the standard.
We're losing so that everybody can have a little more. Listen, I've said this for years. If it was about me, I can go in the world and make money and live comfortable. And I bet you everybody in here can sit back and go for theirs and be okay. But we all made a choice to lose so that everybody can have, because that's what Acts talked about. When you get to the core of the people that lived in Acts, everybody sat back here and gave up what they had so that the people less fortunate can have. So you had people who were successful in the world, gave up their extra and their excess so people that without could have. That's the concept that we have here. We're all taking hits so that the body can have. But if people don't want to get to that level of commitment, then they need to stay on the outside and look in. It ain't personal. We'll see you during barbecue time or lamb time. There's nothing wrong with that. But listen, I have no shame in us creating and establishing and drawing a line.
And listen, and we're not opposed
to lamb. No,
we're not opposed to. We're not
lamb.
Yeah, listen, this is not personal. What people have to understand is these are themes that have been going on for thousands of years in the biblical realm. These are 4,000-year themes. You let your city get corrupted by divisive factors that pull away from the culture that established that city and create stability. You're losing your city, you're losing your house, you're losing your children's minds, and then you're losing yourself. And you got to start over from scratch anyway. That's a waste of time.
Yep. Listen, we've already lost a lot placating. That ain't happening no more. It's better to be with small numbers and get things done. We're going to let this verse go. Did you finish that, sir? Read on.
And whose glory is in their shame, whose mind earthly things.
Who mind earthly things. All that means, what we're dealing with one school from another is the proportion of give to take ratio. I'm not trying to make this any deeper than that. And the truth is, what we try to establish here is you got to give a lot more than you get back.
God said the earthly things, another aspect.
Yep.
Read the last part real quick. Who mind earthly things, the one before that.
It says,
whose glory is their shame.
Whose end is destruction.
Okay.
Whose power is their belly.
And glory is their what?
And whose glory is in their shame.
His glory is their shame. Listen, we read about Ishbosheth, right? Ishbosheth, right? And why was Ishbosheth a man of shame?
Yeah.
Why was he a man of shame?
He didn't want to go to war.
He was a 40-year-old man that never went to war.
No doubt. Hey, well, listen, how do you know that? Why did Saul and all his sons die with all these gangster Philistines trying to kill him and throw spears and javelins at him? But Ishbosheth was at the house eating fruits and blueberries. Huh? Why was he alive? Because he was at the palace. Scary. Wearing silk. He had all silk. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
he had chanclas on and silk. He was soft as hell. He wasn't going to war.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to war with his people.
He was very fresh that day.
God,
Everybody's dying.
Yeah, he's in the pool.
Yes, the scene. Everybody's in the war and battle.
He's cannonball. He's cannonball in the war. Cannonball.
The Philistines are coming out, and he's like, "Do you have any better cheeses than these cheeses? These cheeses."
He's arguing over cheese.
These cheeses I have an issue with because the cheeses that the other person made was so much better than your cheeses. Tell me, what's the difference?
And these Philistines are killing your paw. These crazy six-finger giants going at your family, and you're kicking at the house.
He's going to war
anyway,
over cheese. So the issue is people have insignificant values. It says who mind what? Earthly things. What is earthly things? Self-preservation. That's the instinct of all animals.
Yep.
When I'm a beast, it's just about me. My instinct. Earthly things. What benefits me? My house, my car, my money, my life. But we're talking about things that don't have nothing. There's no benefit for us except when Christ comes.
Yeah, the benefit is the service. The benefit is when everything's said and done, your service speaks for you.
Exactly. But we're not getting no immediate benefit from that. It says, put your treasures in heaven.
Yep. So you know what the treasure is? You know what treasure is? Long suffering.
Yeah.
Humility, dedication, sacrifice, peace, unity. So everything you come in last. Patience, mercy.
There's no immediate physical gratification from that. So then, when I say they mind earthly things, it means the content or the end of their conversation. This is how you can always tell. The end of the conversation is always about some kind of way you're going to come up. Mm-hmm. And this is how sheep gets caught up. Because the sheep be like, I don't know, but I'm not sure. I don't have the scriptures or the experience to see how this is going to work out. So let me go ahead and go with the shores, the physical play.
Yeah.
So they mind earthly things. Their glory is their shame. Their glory is their what? I'm not cut up. My face ain't cut up. I'm not tired. You tired. I'm not tired. I ain't lost nothing. You
working too hard.
You losing. Boy, you tripping, boy. You losing. You cut up a little bit. You losing some things. You look tired. He ain't the same. And for sisters, it's the same thing. Oh, girl, you serving a man. Girl, you can't show your body. Girl, oh, I can go get my nails done whenever I want. Anyone tell me what to do. I'm my own woman. Okay, that's cool. These people are coming in here taking your crown, taking away your salvation, watering down your house. They don't even got a house. Little house that we do have, losing it. All because you're opening yourself to these wolves, these negative influences that don't care about your spirit.
Nope.
They could be family members.
Yep.
That's it.
So, let's let that verse go and go to Titus chapter 3, verse 10 and 11.
Titus chapter 3, verse 10.
10.
Yep, and 11.
Come.
Read that, sir.
A man that is a heretic after the first and second admonition reject,
Read on.
knowing that he is such is subverted and sinned, being condemned of himself.
So what it's saying is there's certain people, listen, we all have a responsibility to teach and establish the standard for anybody who claims that they want to. But all this means that the first and second admonition reject. It just means that, listen, after you establish the standard for somebody and you lay down the expectation and the person doesn't want to accept that expectation, then they have to go. This is one thing to be able to teach somebody the scriptures and give people counsel and direction. But if this life and this standard isn't for you, then you got to find a standard that you want to do.
If it's not what you want, that's cool. Listen.
And that's the point.
I'm not gonna be this guy where I gotta force you. I'm gonna make you do this.
Nobody's making anybody do
have
anything.
a nice day.
If this isn't what you want, you can't have your cake and eat it too, though.
Come.
Because a lot of people want their cake and eat it too.
People are expecting us to try to rule them. Listen, bro.
Or they expect to not agree with how things are done, but still get the benefits out of it. That doesn't work either. Listen, if this is what you want, you're going to get the good and the bad. If you don't want to accept the good and the bad, then stay out there and deal with what you got to deal with.
We get the good
It's
and
not
the
that.
bad.
That's the point. That is the consequence. That's the benefit and the consequence of doing this work. There's positive that comes from it, and there's negative that comes from it.
There's a benefit to being a spiritual, wise woman. There's a consequence to being a
Hell yeah, it is.
wise woman.
But can you accept both sides?
There's a benefit to being a dedicated, spiritual,
Hardcore Israelite?
hardcore, real.
Yeah, there's power there. You know why? Because you have access to brothers. You got counsel. You're around strength to keep you potent. But you know what? You ain't got no time for yourself. How about them apples?
There's no time.
But you can't sit back here, come around resting. Yeah, I did nothing all weekend. I'm chilling. Let me get counsel now. Give me counsel. I want answers. Give me answers. I'm gonna let them come to class. The answers are in class, bro. And it's that simple. It's that simple. And if you can, Israel is not going to get the best of both worlds. That's not right. Anyway, let that verse go. And we're going to go to Philippians. Mm-hmm. Philippians chapter 1, verse 14 through 18. Philippians chapter 1, verse... I can never get Philippians.
14 through 18?
Yeah, 14 through 18.
Philippians chapter 1 and verse 14.
Let me get there. Hold on a second, man. Yep, read that.
God. And many of the brethren in the Lord, waxing confident by my bonds, are much more bold to speak the word without fear.
So what Paul is saying at this particular time is that he was imprisoned. And at this particular time he was in prison, and there were other teachers in other churches that were like boasting and clowning the fact celebrating the fact and boasting that he went to jail. Because more than likely, him going to jail meant that he was falling, he was out the spirit.
That confirmed.
And all the weak angles that these guys were teaching are justified because Paul went to jail.
Yeah, Paul went to jail.
Exactly. Read on.
Verse 15. Some indeed preach Yahushua even of envy and strife.
What it's saying is, this verse in verse 15 proves that there's certain people that teach Christ with a different intention than other people teach Christ.
So
and this is another aspect of, as a leader, you have to watch out for. People can sit back here and teach breakdowns and verses all damn day long. That don't mean they're teaching with the same intent. Some people teach so that they can feel good about themselves. Other people teach for money, so they can get taken care of and get all this harem of help. Other people teach for the purity of the teaching and just to give. When you're sitting back here and trying to put a school together, our responsibility is to also make sure that the men around us, we're all teaching with the same intention, with the same mindset. And just because you know breakdowns don't mean you're going to teach in this podium. Because we need to make sure that you're teaching out of the same spirit that we are. It don't matter how many breakdowns you got. What mindset are you at? Where is your intention behind your teaching? Because what is Paul saying? Some teach Christ even of envy and strife, and some also of goodwill. Some people, when they teach, they have good intentions. Some people, when they teach, they want something out the deal. Other people teach to throw darts at people, to attack people, to sit back and tear down what other people are trying to build. There's so many different nuances that once you get to this position, you have to look out for to protect the flock.
You will understand the sheep position.
And that's the point. This is why this is about understanding why there has to be separation a lot of times, and how come there just can't be this very naive look at just bringing all Israelite groups and people together. That doesn't work, because everybody has different agendas, different purposes. Yes, sir?
Can that strife come from being here and being that it is that we're here to teach? Can that strife come out of obligation to teach?
Out of obligation. You got to talk what you mean.
Like, we're here to teach.
Yep.
Right. We're not here just to work.
Mm-hmm.
So out of obligation, can that strife come from that? Like you get put on the spot to teach. Like, here, we're here to teach out.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to teach. Being forced to teach.
Right. Nobody, and then that person doesn't say, like, you know what, I don't feel like I'm fit to teach, but I feel like I'm obligated to teach because I'm here.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that's just more about a person having to learn to get experience and the fears of being comfortable doing both. That's just youth. And that's why I say a lot of what we're talking about now is dealing with experienced men and the challenges that experienced men have to have when they're up at this stage looking after the flock. Because when you're dealing with young men trying to figure things out,
it's always gonna be.
That's okay. Teaching young men, developing them as much as they're willing to be developed. You're going to get men that push themselves to the max. You're going to have certain men that plateau. Every man going to grow at their different pace and their different speed.
Some men figure it out down the line, bro. Some folks don't get it.
And that's the point. Every young man is here working on their own soul salvation. That's not a problem. The problem is when the standard is attacked. The problem is what works for any school, camp, business, any type of gathering in general. You have to make sure everybody's on the same accord. And especially in the leadership and the top ranking officers, we all have to be pushing and striving for the same goals. If not, you water down what you're trying to establish. And that's toxic. You can't have that. You can't have those toxic struggles from the power structure and expect there to be a healthy, positive unity in the body. So, and what I'm pulling this verse is to explain that Paul understood that people teach out of different intentions and motivations.
So this is nothing new. That's not what all it goes into. All it goes into. There's not this is not a new thing.
Nope.
Camp bang is not new. It's in the Josephus. It's in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? These issues where people with different intentions is not new.
Yep.
Listen, these are just, we're just trying to maneuver through these environments and maintain our flock, bro.
Because when everything boils down, it's still the only thing that matters is the flock and the protecting of the flock. I can't control what men who know right from wrong and have been in the truth for X amount of years, what they do. All I can control is the young men and women who are trying to search and learn Christ. We have an obligation to protect how they grow, how they develop, and how they're nurtured. That's all that matters. That's our number 1, 2, and 3 objective. But you guys have to understand where different attacks come from. Because he's sitting back here, obviously Paul is in bonds and is hearing guys talk about his fall like that was the Spirit checking him because he was a bad guy. So the whole teaching was about trying to shame him, to say that his standard and what he's pushing wasn't the Spirit of Christ. Even though that was just what the Most High had him go through for his works. And this is what he understood about the nature of people. Everybody teaches for their own. Everybody teaches for different motivations. And figuring out the why is important.
And this is why we have trainers. The trainers are supposed to train men year by year, month by month, experience by experience, battle by battle.
Yep.
How to process things and how to overcome themselves. And eventually you should get to a level of pure thinking and pure intentions. And the Most High will stop you and will have you at a wall until your intentions change, until your perspective changes. We keep pushing perspective because you have to have this perspective to do this job at a higher level.
Okay.
So as you learn the lessons, you will gain the same perspective as you go through your own experiences and absorb this information. But if you stop developing and become quote unquote stillborn, that's because there's things I didn't accept. Oh man, I can't have time for me.
Yep.
Well, now you're altering your development. Oh, you know what? I gotta get this much. Now you're altering the perspective you should be gaining. Because the perspective is the perspective of Christ. Is really the mind of Christ, and how can we apply the mind of Christ in real time?
Okay.
That's the goal. It's all right.
So let's give me verse 15 again. We're going to read through 18.
God, Philippians chapter 1 and verse 15.
Yep.
Some indeed preach Yahushua, even of envy and strife, and some also of goodwill.
A lot of people only teach when they want to throw a dart at somebody. You'll see people's motivation and desire to study pick up when they got something to attack another person on. I've seen that with my own eyes. All of a sudden, when it's attacking season, now I'm going to teach. When that attacking season is down, there's no teaching going on. Read on.
Verse 16. The one preach Yahushua of contention, not sincere.
That's that point he was saying.
Exactly. Some people teach Christ just to sit back and get into a battle, right? And that's what motivates people, is contention and arguing and fighting.
Discord gets them going.
And discord gets them rocking and rolling, right? but there's seasons of discontent, and there's contention seasons, and then there's dry news cycles.
Yeah.
When everything's quiet on the Western Front, you gonna teach then? But the point, we're gonna get to the point though. Read on. I'm just showing you that there's different people that have different reasons for teaching, and when you're sitting back here putting a camp together, find people that are trying to push and teach for the same reasons you're trying to teach. Read on.
Verse 17. But the other of love, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel.
And he says other people teach out of love to develop, for the pureness of development. And he says that's the one that I am set to defend the gospel with. Read on.
Verse 18. What then? Notwithstanding every way, whether in pretense or in truth.
Pretense or in truth, okay.
Read on.
Yahushua is preached.
So listen, I'm not here to sit back here. If a person is hyped on teaching for discord and arguments, if you wants to battle rap, cool. Listen, everybody's going to teach for different reasons, and Christ is teach one way or the other. It's not up to me to judge the Most High's servants. It's not up to me to judge Christ's servants. My job is to sit back here and work with brothers that are like-minded to us. Because what does Amos chapter 3 verse 3 say? I'm going to have to read that verse. Amos 3 and 3.
You want Philippians 2 and 2? Or
huh?
Philippians 2 and 2. Where are you?
Not yet. I want Amos. Amos 3 and 3.
Amos chapter 3 and verse 3. Can two walk together except they be agreed?
So I'm not here to attack people whose motivations are different than ours. But I just know I can't build with them. You can't build with people who aren't pushing and fighting in the same spirit that you are. And as long as that's understood, this is another reason why a lot of times You can't work with people that are teaching out of a different motivation than you are. And that's just something that you have to accept in the process of doing this work. It's not personal. But this system is not going to operate with clashing approaches, clashing mindsets, and different ulterior motives. Let that verse go. Let Philippians go. And I want to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 37, verse 10 through 16, to give another dimension to what it means about working with people and certain people you can't work with. There's just certain mixes that just don't mix. It's 37 and verse 10 through 16. There's certain combinations when you're dealing with development of working with people and trying to operate with people that you can't work with.
Does that mean this is personal?
This is not about being angry and being wrathful and I have a problem with this person. You just got to understand what works and what doesn't work. What's a good fit and what's not a good fit. We're going to read that in Ecclesiastes chapter 37 and verse 10.
Come on. Ecclesiastes chapter 37 and verse 10. Consult not with one that suspecteth thee. He
says consult, meaning I'm not supposed to counsel with somebody that suspects me. Let's get to 1828 on suspect. If I'm not supposed to consult, that means I'm not supposed to really. If I can't consult with you, I really can't work with you. I really can't work intimately with you if I can't consult with you. But he says, consult not with someone that suspecteth thee. Give me suspect. Number one.
To mistrust.
Mm-hmm.
To imagine or have a slight opinion that something exists, but without proof. Or often upon weak evidence or no evidence at all.
You know what that means? Don't consult and work with somebody that has a negative outlook on you that they can't prove is real. You know, a lot of you ever work with somebody that just looks at you and has this negative feeling about you, but really can't prove it. I can't work with this guy. If every few weeks or months this person looks at me like I'm a dirtbag, and I haven't done anything to show that I'm a dirtbag, that means okay. If I'm constantly battling with a person who has a negative outlook towards me, then that's an indicator that I can't work with you long term. He's telling you this is okay. That bond ain't gonna be there. And if the bond ain't gonna be there and I got somebody who's constantly looking at me and seeing the worst in me, then that gives me the clearance to get away from that person. Listen, this is the Bible. This isn't religion. Religion and this very kumbaya mindset makes us think we can just bring everybody together and everything's going to be okay.
The unity.
The unity. But that's a very vague statement.
The unity is actually very specific. Unity means that everybody amongst your flock is in the same mentality. It doesn't mean that we're wearing the same t-shirt just to wear the same t-shirt.
It doesn't. Because the truth is this. Unity means that the people I work with don't look at me like I'm a negative person. He's telling you, a person that suspects you, let's go back to these words, to mistrust. Because you know what it's saying is you can't work with somebody that doesn't trust you and you don't trust them.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It says don't consult with somebody that doesn't trust you. It sounds very simple, but it's very true. We can have fringes and be been around each other, but if you don't trust me, if you see the worst in me, and I see the worst in you, then it's not a good fit. Read on. In definitions, is to mistrust, to imagine, or have a slight opinion that something exists, but without proof, and often upon weak evidence or no evidence at all. We suspect not only from fear, jealousy, or apprehension of evil, but in modern usage, we suspect things which gives us no apprehension. I'm trying to find, it says, to imagine, it's number 2, to imagine to be guilty, but upon slight evidence or without proof.
To doubt.
You'll be so surprised that all a person has to do is hear one suspect thing about you, and all of a sudden their whole outlook towards you changes. You ever been around somebody like that? That kind of person you really can't build with. And that ain't got nothing to do with the Bible. That ain't got nothing to do with where you were taught at. If you were taught in the same school, same arena, if an accusation could come around and my whole outlook towards you changes over a accusation that's not even proven, then it's telling you that person you can't work with. Because that person is looking to see the negative in you, to justify why they should hate you or have an envious issue towards you. You can't work with people that way. It has nothing to do with unity. Well, let's continue. I think there's another part of that definition. It says to imagine guilt, doubtful, suspicion. To be you can't counsel with somebody who sees the worst in you.
Because you know what? They're not going to even follow counsel anyway. The counsel
and the whole bond is going to be corrupted. I can't walk with somebody every day knowing they're looking at me sideways.
Now, my responsibility.
You can't focus on the body because you're focused on how this person's looking at you and what they might say about you behind your back.
Yep.
Then you can't get anything done because you know this person's looking at you sideways. We're talking the Bible, the Most High, but I know this guy's looking at me like I'm a dirtbag. That's not going to work.
I got an evil perception of you, but we're in the work together.
And we're brothers. We're talking about the unity.
All right, bro.
That don't even make sense. That's a recipe for disaster. Anyway, continue. In the scriptures. So read it from the top, verse 10.
Ecclesiastes chapter 37 and verse 10. Consult not with one that suspecteth thee, and hide thy counsel from such as envy thee.
He says, hide your counsel from a person who's envious of you, who can't just keep a positive outlook towards you. He always sees the worst in you. Always thinks you're sitting back here and one-upping him, or trying to embarrass him, or make him look bad. He says you got to hide your counsel from that person. And if I got to hide my counsel from this person, that means I really can't work with this person. That means I have to avoid this person. Because this relationship is unhealthy. It has nothing to do with breakdowns, classes, and verses. If you either can work with somebody or you can't work with somebody. It's that simple. Read on.
Neither consult with a woman touching her of whom she is jealous.
So what it's saying is you can't work with people that have an inclined negative outlook towards something and expect positive results to happen. I can't talk to a jealous woman about a two-wife situation. They ain't going to accept it. You got a wife who has issues with jealousy. I'm not going to have a counsel with her to another young sister about embracing being the second wife. You'll get all kind of crazy looks, huh? It's not going to work. It's going to be a bad counsel that night, huh? It just is. What he's saying is, what these next few verses are talking about is these certain mixes. You can't force these connections together. You can act like you can, but it's not going to work. If you got a sister who's battling jealousy and trust, and that issue with her husband hasn't been overcome yet, you can't push that to that spirit yet. You can't expect her to back and be an advocate of it because she hasn't overcome that yet. They just say there's no different. I got a person who's envious and looks at the worst of me, expect I can work with him every day in the work. It's the same concept. Read on.
Neither with a coward in matters of war.
I'm not counseling isbhpk about how we're going to take over this city and overcome the damn Philistines. He can't give me no answers. A person that's afraid to fight, I can't talk about war.
It's my time. It's my turn to strategize. You did it last time. Now it's my turn. Like, bro, what?
You can't do it, and that's the point. Listen, what he's saying is that there's certain mixes that you just can't bring together. If a person is full of fear, I'm not going to fight and counsel with him about having courage, standing up for what's right. It can't happen. Read on.
Nor with a merchant concerning exchange.
Listen, I can't talk with a person that's used to hustling about getting a fair and honest price. Because that's what it's saying. I can't talk to a person who's a merchant that's used to hustling. Listen, you ever talk to a merchant? A merchant has a different price for every customer. That's the point. So I can't talk to him about square dealings because all he's wired to do is to take an advantage of you. This is why I say you ever talk to somebody who's an expert plumber. You don't know nothing about plumbing. Why do you got to call and get 3 quotes? Well, if you got a jacked up plumbing situation at your house, do you take the first call from a plumber and just take the deal? you better not. You're going to get screwed over. You better call 2 or 3 people. And you better start figuring out prices. Because they're going to gouge you. And I remember, I'll never forget it. Right across the street from my house, there was an older woman. I think she was going to have dementia. It's unfortunate. But I don't want to bust out the plumbing company act. But there was a plumbing company literally that came out every month.
Are you serious?
They were at the house like once a month. It was Cowboy Plumbing. I'm gonna get them out. I'm gonna bust you out. It was Cowboy Plumbing act, and they were out in front of the house every damn month. I'm like, I know there's not a plumbing issue every month out here, right? But they kept coming every month. It was like 5 months in a row, right? And then I think soon after that, the woman's son came in and started living with her, right? Because he was getting her, right? I know he was getting her, right?
Hey, ma'am, next month, it's around the 15th, it should be a plumbing issue, and I'll just come by around the 15th.
Bro, I know he was coming and getting money, bro. I know it was. He was saying it was a water heater. Then he was saying it was a leaky faucet out. He was just taking people out. Then there's the toilets.
He was a wolf.
He was a wolf. But he was taking. The point is this. What was the point of this verse? You can't sit back here and deal with buying and selling and deal with the merchant and expect you're going to get a straight up answer. Once again, there are certain connections that just don't fit. Read on.
Nor with a buyer of selling.
Exactly. Read on.
Nor with an envious man of thankfulness.
Because listen, you said you can't talk to an envious man about thankfulness because the envious man is what? Always upset about what he don't have. He's never appreciative. He always thinks the grass is greener and his life sucks and this person shouldn't have what they have because he can't appreciate what he does have. So he's just saying there's combinations and mixes that just don't work well together. That you just can't connect and associate themselves with. Read on.
Nor with an unmerciful man touching kindness.
Exactly. A person that doesn't care about people, you can't counsel about kindness with that person. Once again, we keep going over these different examples of mixes and connections that don't work.
But a merciful man of kindness means they're never going to get it.
Exactly. Listen, a merciless person is never going to give you the benefit of the doubt. He's never going to let up. Because the only thing that matters is what they want. Continue.
Nor with the slothful for any work.
Hell no.
Begging and begging and begging. Come on now. Come on now. Come on.
Brother, if you want to ask a lazy person to work, you can forget it. He ain't getting nothing. He ain't get nothing but excuses and late shows or no shows. Yep. Read on.
Nor with an hireling for a year of finishing work.
Because you can't counsel with a person that's not about committing and expecting a person that doesn't commit to finish. That's something even sisters need to learn. When they're trying to choose a husband, if you got a guy that's always quitting, you think he's going to stick with you? Is this the truth?
I didn't think about that. Now you should be coming. You should go to class.
If a guy is always quitting this job after job and situations, listen, that means there's a pretty high possibility he's gonna quit you. How about that?
Not me. I'm special. He's gonna quit everything. He's quit everything he ever cared
about. Everything.
I quit basketball. I quit football. I quit everything.
Wow. That's comedy. Yes. Let me stop. Do we understand the point? There's certain recipes for disaster that you just have to avoid. Okay? Read on.
Nor with an idle servant of much business.
Exactly. You know what? What he's saying is, instead of arguing with the person that wants to be comfortable, to get them to do something they don't want to do, let them stay back. The person that doesn't want to sit back here and finish, then you can't bring them around you. How about that? If your goal is to sit back and finish what you start, and you got people that aren't committed to finishing, then I guess this bond, this is where the bond stops. He's telling you there's plenty of reasons why bonds just ain't going to work out. Why connections aren't going to work out. And it ain't personal. It's not evil and angry intent. It's just people going to have to adjust and align themselves with the people that are more like them. And that's just what it is. Read on.
Hearken not unto these in any matter of counsel.
He says, don't adjust and don't align yourselves with these different counterbalanced scenarios and expect you're going to get some good answers out of it.
Don't adjust your vision for people that don't understand.
And then but the problem is, if I can't counsel with you, can I really work with you? Scripture says don't counsel with these people.
Yeah.
But if you can't counsel with them, that means you really can't work with them. If I got a person that's envying me and seeing the worst out of me, I can't work with this person. It's not just counsels. I can't counsel and I can't work with you. We can't coexist in the same place. These are just realities. Continue.
But be continually with a godly man.
Listen, the focus and the goal is to continually be with the person who is about change and growth. Nobody is perfect. But a godly person is at least willing to make adjustments. Be humble. Change. Add different elements to himself or herself. That's who you're supposed to align yourself with. Read on.
Whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Most High.
We understand it's about the commandments. Read on.
Whose mind is according to thy mind.
But it's the commandments and their mind and the minds are alike. The mindset is alike. It's not just we're supposed to be together because we all follow the commandments. You have to deal with the person and work with people that follow the commandments and also think like you.
Have the same intentions.
They have the same intentions, same motivations, same drive.
This is why we push. This is why we push, and we're very solicitous when it comes to the standard. We're trying to sell people into the same belief.
The same mentality.
If you're buying in to the same focus and belief, then we can work together.
Because most people just come together because we follow the commandments. That's not enough. Yeah, but there's so much strife and discord amongst Israel who knows they're supposed to follow the Sabbath, not eat pork, follow all the laws. Why is there so much discord? Because everybody doesn't think the same. So let Christ settle all this unity thing. And let's sit back here and just align ourselves with people who are trying to fight and push and pursue the same direction. And so we can get, you know why? So we can get something accomplished. Because you have a bunch of people that are going different directions, you're not going to get anything accomplished anyway. It's better to sit back here and surround yourself with like-minded people so you can get something done versus wasting time for the sake of quote-unquote, air quote, unity. Unity is about believing the same laws and commandments and having the same vision. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Then we have to align ourselves with the same vision, with the same mindset to actually get something accomplished. What you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying. Listen, if we're baking cookies out, and we're gonna be the
wow, you going to the cookie explanation tonight? That's phenomenal.
We're gonna bake these cookies out.
I like chocolate chip.
We're gonna eat chocolate chip till Christ come back. That's gonna be that's gonna be our body out.
Yep.
Listen, if that's the culture, that's the culture.
Yep.
It's whatever culture works. Whatever has been working. If cookies have sustained this body for the past 20 years, this body.
I don't think it would last off cookies.
It's like I believe.
God.
But the whole point is, listen, we're trying to sell and be solicitous about the direction we're going.
Yep.
And we know it works because we've done it for so many years, and also that other way we've seen other ways not work.
Yep.
And a lot of this is based on what we've seen not work too.
Exactly.
We've seen just gather everybody together and hang out. It
doesn't work.
We've seen.
You know, you get less done that way.
Yeah.
When everybody's around with different intentions, different motivations, you get nothing done. That comes from experience.
Yeah.
The mindset now is to be around like-minded, and when I mean like-minded, same level of drive, same level of passion, same level of work ethic, same level of motivation.
Tears.
The same level of motivation. You align yourselves with that, and you can get something accomplished, especially in the leadership position. And that just means you're not going to have this hodgepodge of people that have these different opinions and expect anything positive to happen, because that's what verse 11 was saying.
It didn't happen for Paul.
Exactly. Listen, hell, even still, Paul and Barnabas, it got to a point where the person that Barnabas was trying to vouch for had already quit on the body. The reason that Paul and Barnabas had that big blow up, was because there was a guy that was supposed to go with Paul and Barnabas a while ago. And he went with them on a voyage and left and went back to his house with his family. That's what happened. So what happened is this guy wanted to go back out on another voyage again. And Paul said, I'm not going with this dude. This dude's a quitter. And then when shit gets hard, he'll go back home. And he's not going to finish this battle to the end like you got to when you're developing new people. So Paul and Barnabas went to war arguing about this guy. And Barnabas was like, I'm vouching for him. I'm going to ride with this guy. I'm going to give him a second chance. Paul said, you know what? This is going to work. You go with your guy and see what you get done with him. I'm going to go with Titus, if I'm not mistaken. Titus or Timothy. I'm going to go with a guy who's serious about these changes and serious about the commitment. You never heard about Barnabas afterwards.
That was that sharp discourse, right? That
was the discord. It was about the direction and the choice to be around like-minded people. Paul didn't want to be around a quitter. A quitter who was in a strategic position of leadership. I'm not going to have this guy be my number 2 and he quits on me when it gets hard like he did before when he was number 3. Barnabas want to give him another chance. Cool, do it. But now, this is where we go split. And there was no wickedness because he went right and the other guy went left. That has to happen.
So does that mean that there's no...
That didn't mean Paul wasn't about the unity. Paul understood how can two walk together unless they be agreed. And if this guy values this number 2 man's level of effort and I don't respect it, I'm going to go find number 2 that I trust. Because when your back's against the wall and things aren't going the right way and I'm getting bit by damn serpents and I'm getting shipwrecked and beat, I don't want this clown to bounce on me. Because that's what he was thinking. Paul was catching hell, shipwrecks, he was getting beaten, he was getting stoned. Going to jail. And you know what happened with this guy? This guy bounced when the block got hot. That's really what it was. So Paul said, I'm not working with a guy that I can't trust in a pinch. So because of it, if you want to vouch for him, you go that way, I go that way, and that's life.
And it wasn't about sin and breaking.
It wasn't about evil.
It wasn't about.
And that's the point.
And so we're not pushing be divisive, be division. We're just saying that listen, there's different ranking systems, there's different flocks, different folds,
different calibers.
There's different calibers, folds, flocks, whatever you want to call it, ranks. Tiers, they're all different. Listen, there's a message out, and we're going to push our message out.
And there wasn't that weak conclusion of, let's agree to disagree. It was sharp.
Yeah.
Listen, this is the direction we're going. Architects, if they're building a tower, they're building a temple, and there's 2 different architects. They're like, well, I think we should build. This is my blueprint. There's two blueprints. How are we going to build the tower out? How are you going to build the castle?
Somebody got to go and find another project.
If there's 2 blueprints, we're talking about blueprints here. This is about blueprint. Yep. This is about process. It's not like, Ford and Tesla, man, they're not the same, bro. They don't have the same belief. They're both vehicle companies.
And there's nothing wrong with either. But you know what the point is this. You choose your path to be the best you can in your path, and we'll be the best we can in our path, and that's just it.
And we're talking about long-term.
And this is leadership. This is long-term about dealing with camp strategy, and camp structuring, and church structuring. And this is what this is about.
And Ribs, keep it real with you.
Gun.
If she don't believe in what you believe in, bro, I'll tell you.
Listen, you have to make a choice. The point is, what should be happening is they should be vetted before y'all start dealing. Ain't nobody doing that, man. Israel don't do that shit out. That's what the courting stage is for. To see if this is a good fit. If this is a good match. But brothers want to roll in and figure it out as you go in. Then you want to cry and complain. Like, this is what you chose.
Yeah, later, baby.
Oh, this shit, okay. Then you got to deal with the consequences of your decision.
You know what tribe you are? I'm telling you, this is the tribe you're from. I'm telling you. I've showed it to you so many times.
What is the tribe you have with servitude and this is a good fit? How about that one? Anyway. Thank you for bringing out.
Those are literal conversations that happen.
The tribe delivers.
I'm trying to bait you into what tribe you are. Now you know what tribe you are. Now you have to come to class to be an Israelite. They want to do it.
Okay, man. Listen, I went somewhere. Okay, what's the point? What are we saying again? So where we at Ecclesiasticus 37? Give me verse 12 again.
Come. Ecclesiastes chapter 37 and verse 12. But be continually with a godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Most High, whose mind is according to thy mind.
Listen, that is so important. Man, you have to follow. You have to be a godly man. Have to be about following the laws of the Most High. But you have to be, especially with working with leaders, you have to think the same and have the same approach. Or you have to be around people who have approaches that want to push beyond yours. That's how you get things done. But you have people that are oppositional mind-wise, work ethic-wise, discipline-wise, not as good processing-wise. Now the struggle begins. And you can't get anything accomplished. Read on.
And will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry.
Miscarry is a big thing, bro. Miscarry means I got something to lose, bro. Listen,
Or if I fall.
all this Bible stuff, all this work, and if we lose or make a mistake or fall, I'm supposed to be sad about that.
Con.
I'm not supposed to be like,
Because that envious person is waiting for you to fall. That guy that was in Philippians 1 was waiting for Paul to fall to sit back here and say, I knew your way was off. I knew you were off. I knew what you were saying was off. There's people literally that brothers have worked with, and when they make a mistake, they're waiting for them to fall to say, I told you so. You don't want to work with people like that. You can't co-inhabit yourself with people that operate like that, that are waiting for you to fall, that want your demise. So read on.
And let the counsel of thine own heart stand. For there is no man more faithful unto thee than it.
Read on.
For a man's mind is sometime wont to tell him more than 7 watchmen that sit above and in high towers.
Read on to verse 15. We're going to stop at 15.
And above all this pray to the Most High, that he will direct thy way in truth.
Okay. Now we're going to hold that, and we're going to go up. See, we don't have much time. Let's see. I want to go here or go here. 1 second, y'all. Huh? See, I really want to go here, but
Scorners are real too.
I know that, and those are people
That's
that
like
you
the young leaders do with that the most. They do it
Yes.
the most. The one that,
So let's do with the young ones. Okay, let's go to Proverbs chapter 9, verse 7 and 8. The first half of this class is really about what leaders have to kind of look after in regards to who to avoid in a leadership posture. What this next part is about is kind of like where young officers have to understand there's certain things that are non-negotiable when you're dealing with younger men. That scorner, that individual who's always trying to argue and go against the direction that you're trying to establish as a young man. So let's get this verse in Proverbs chapter 9 in verse 7 and 8 so we can understand on multiple levels there's people that a lot of times you're just going to have to avoid for the sake of the body and for the sake of the protecting of the body. Proverbs 9 and 7.
and time.
And time. Well,
You have
yeah.
to protect the time too, because if you don't have the time, bro, you can't feed the sheep.
God, no doubt. That's a great point. We're going to read this.
Come, Proverbs 9 verse 7. He that reproveth a scorner getteth to himself shame.
Yeah.
What is he saying? He says a person that reproves a scorner gets to himself shame. What does that mean? Anybody know? What is a scorner?
A debater.
A debater, a contender, a despiser, a person with a negative outlook, right?
Come.
So he's saying when you try to correct a person that's an arguer, is a fighter, that's a constant debater, what's going to happen is he says he that reproveth the scorner
Getteth to himself shame.
What does that mean? There's certain people that you check and you tell them the truth about themselves. What do?
Hate you for it.
What's that?
What?
They hate you for it, but how do they show their hatred?
Deny. They combat you in general.
They combat you. They sit back here and they try to shame you.
Come.
And they try to embarrass you.
That's their agenda.
That their agenda is to embarrass you without you. There's people that do that right now. You sit back here and stand up for what's right, and all they do is post things on social media. What's the intention of posting things on social media? To shame you, to embarrass you. And this is why you don't deal with them. This is why the Most High says, scorners, you just avoid.
Cut them off.
You cut them off, and you avoid, and you don't waste your time with them. Because all it's going to do by going back and forth to the scorner is end up bringing more shame to you. And more negative attention to you. And people that always bring negative attention to you and to what you're doing, what he's saying is, you got to give your time to the flock who wants to listen.
That matters.
The flock that matters.
I don't waste my time trying to convince. I got to sit here and convince you all day.
And I got to sit back here and hear you spew venom and negativity all damn day long.
I'm consulting with a guy that suspects me. So
Yep.
my whole day is based on how can I convince this guy
that I'm a nice guy.
No. Listen, I'm not a nice guy. I'm not a nice guy. You're right. And you can have a good day.
Exactly.
Or a good year.
So let's focus on the people who actually want to learn, who don't want to argue, who don't want to sit back here and just throw dirt back and forth with each other. This is why we ignore people who are scorners. It's because we're focusing on people who want to actually grow. Not sit back and post everything online. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
Because all those people do is pull the attention and focus from the work, from growth, from development.
They enjoy being dramatic.
Because they want to bring all the attention to them.
Yeah.
The scorner wants to make it about them.
They don't care if they're right or wrong. It's not about right or wrong.
No.
It's about
attention.
It's about theatrics.
And attention.
They're theatrical. They're attention desiring. And so you know what? My job is not to feed theatrical men.
Yes. There's a lot of Israelites that are theatrical men that want all the attention. That's still a form of being a wolf. Because I'm trying to take attention from people who actually need the counsel. I'm trying to pull attention from brothers and sisters who need counsel and legitimate issues.
They're legitimately desiring the word.
And they're going to funnel it to them who are just parasites that just want to take every little morsel of time to make it about them. That is a form of a wolf. You have wolves that sit back here that are more experienced in leadership, and they're trying to take time from you and take the flock's mind. Then you have certain younger people that come in that want to sit back and make it about arguing and not about learning. They want to sit back and make it about how they're the victim. We get people online all the time. They're the victim. They're the victim. They're the victim. Listen, man, get your victim ass over there, and we can work with people who actually want to learn and grow. Keep that victim shit out there. You embarrassing us, huh? You know that crap, huh?
Hey, I gotta pull a word for it, huh? Rapacious, right? There's another word.
That's another. Wait.
Well, rapacious for the wolf. Yes. Rapacious. Now we
usurious.
Now we have one usurious, meaning relating to the practice of.
No, just saying regular words. Don't get fancy.
I
gotta practice. Just say the word practice.
Okay, relating to the practice of usury. All right.
Wow.
There's righteous usury and there's wicked usury.
That's a good one.
The
word is usurious.
Yeah, usurious.
Like usury, but usurious.
Yeah, so there's righteous usury, which is Christ demands more of your spirit. He wants more of you and more of you and more of you because he's a consuming fire. And he created you in the first place, so you're his servant anyway. He died for you.
Yes.
And there's an opposite person or people that are also usurious. They're trying to consume more and more of your attention, and more of your energy, and more of your spirit.
Like vampires.
Like these spiritual vampires.
That's a real thing amongst Israelites. Especially young men, the young people come in, they want to take and take and take. They don't want to serve. They don't want to lock in. They don't want to adjust. They just want to take. They want to hear. They want you to just listen to them argue and scream and cuss.
And they don't want to change.
Threaten you and try to throw hands on you.
They don't want to change.
No.
But they come in and they just start pulling more. You know, I would sure be nice if I had this. And I know you got it. You know, sure I would appreciate. You know, it'd be nice if I had this too. And they know you got it right in your hand, in your pocket, or something like that. Well, sure, I kind of need a ride over here, but I don't ever come to class. I kind of need a ride over here. Can I get a ride out? So I'm your butler.
It's the gimme guy.
I'm your butler, but you never read the Bible, and you never come to class,
and you never give.
You're usurious.
They're still takers,
This
is a different form of.
They're sneak demanders.
Because some people take because they want the attention.
Yeah.
Some people take because they want to be parasites and take resources from you.
Yep.
And some people just want you to counsel them all day. Just give them all this. I've seen a lot of people. They want their own personal Israelite counselor. You ever notice that? They don't want to come to class. They want to skip the class skip the commitment to come around. They just want you to talk. They want their personal prophet on deck. 1-800-PROPHET out. They'll call you. I want you to counsel with me. On speed dial. They say, won't you go to the school? Yeah, about that. I'll be there tomorrow. But I need some counsels today. You're like, no, man. They're all just. Then you know what you got to tell people? You got to learn how to be experts in saying 1 fish, 2 fish, green fish, blue fish. You guys are giving people BS and say, listen, bro, I'll give you the real answer when we get to the school.
The spirit was spiritual.
The spirit was spiritual. Give these people these BS answers and bring them to the school. Make them, Scripture says, buy the truth, sell it not. Commit to it.
Same for free.
And push these people to give. And you start sitting here bringing people around and all they want to do is argue and fight. The Scripture says to avoid the scorner.
Good day.
The person that wants to fight and argue all day, you know what? I don't give a crap where you came from. I came from the mean streets of this damn place.
We all came from.
Or the crazy streets of this son. And this is how I learned, is arguing and fighting. Well, you know, once you figure that out, you come back around. Because we don't have enough time to spread spirit out to a bunch of people that want to argue or cry all day. Read that again. Proverbs 9:7.
God, Proverbs chapter 9, verse 7. He that reproveth.
Now, click. Let's see one thing. If you cry, it's cool. But when you're crying, you're trying to change. That's the devil's tears.
That's what I mean.
That's the devil's tears. You
cry without changing.
And then you do it again and again and again and again. Oh, I don't know why I keep being a wicked guy. Oh, I'm so sad I'm doing these things. And then you close your eyes, go to sleep, and he's doing it again and again. Listen, you weren't sorry about what your actions. You weren't. Tears are supposed to denote you're repentful.
Yep.
That you have a desire to repent. Crying with no desire to repent, that's a deceiver.
Well, let's get this. I feel like I'm kind of veering a little bit.
You're off topic. That's like it.
So no, that was me too. Go back. Proverbs 9 says that devil's tears got me, man. But read that out. Proverbs 9:7.
Come, Proverbs chapter 9, verse 7. He that reproveth a scorner getteth to himself shame.
Because this scorner, all they care about is trying to make you look bad. Because you are just trying, in your best intention, to correct and teach and operate a camp. And these people that want to tear down what you're trying to do, they're trying to bring shame to what you're trying to do, those are the people that you avoid. He says, don't reprove a scorner, because they're going to give you shame. That means I'm not going to correct you. I'm going to keep my distance from you. Read on.
Come. And he that rebuketh a wicked man getteth to himself a blot.
Because a negative person, this scripture says, a wise person is supposed to take correction and add unto it. Okay. A wicked person takes correction and can't take the check. And all they want to do is retaliate and attack and be the victim and say, you're the reason that they can't operate. You're the reason that I can't grow. Those are the people that don't want to see themselves. They want to make you the reason that everything is bad. And they're going to bring a blot to you because they're fixated on you and not themselves. Read on.
Verse 8. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee.
And that's the point. And he's telling you, the people that will hate you for just doing your job, you got to back away and let them roll. Because this is supposed to be about correction and teaching and developing, showing people love, and the people who are getting it appreciate it. It's not about, we're not talking about demanding perfection. Men, women are going to have ups and downs and issues. But this is what a person who doesn't appreciate what you're bringing to the table for them. It's okay to step away from them. Let that verse go and go to Proverbs 13:1. Proverbs 13:1.
Come on, I got it. Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 1 reads, a wise son heareth his father's instruction.
Listen, this is about a person who wants to receive correction versus wanting to argue. Read on.
But a scorner heareth not rebuke.
This scorner doesn't want to get checked. That means they want to argue. You can't help a person unless they want to listen. So because if a person chooses not to listen, you have no choice but to back off of them. I can't force a person to want to listen. You can't force a person to want to adjust. So he's saying in these scenarios, if a person can't take basic correction, you have to stay away until they are willing and ready to make those changes.
And put your energy in the people that are receiving.
And that's the point. Put your energy in the spirit of people who want to listen, so your time can be appreciated. The scripture says, "Cast not your pearls before swine."
Yeah.
You don't give energy to people that don't respect what you're doing every day with them. If they don't appreciate what you do, don't give it to them. You have that right.
No,
a lot of times we think we're obligated to deal with unruly, negative-ass people because that's the work of Christ. Scripture said if they don't want to listen, you go to them, you teach them. If they don't listen, wipe the dust off your feet and move on. Christ gave those instructions.
People don't like
it's okay to move on.
Listen, people are stuck. They're still kind of in.
There is a church yank. Listen, man, it's okay if a person's not trying to listen. You don't got to cut them off forever. It's just if you're not ready, then you'll be on pause till you're ready. And then when we re-adjourn in 2 years, we'll be right back at the same spot and we'll see if you've grown. If you don't want to listen, okay, then I'll come back another year. It's cool. I'm doing this forever. So whenever you want to come back around, we'll be here.
And we
don't got to argue and establish some doubtful disputations like Romans talk. I'm not going to war with you because you don't want to change.
Non-stop. And listen, our job is to be ready when you're ready.
That's the point.
That's our job. That's our job.
Our job is to always be ready.
Yeah.
So when you're ready to change, we'll be here. But we're not budging to sit back and bend down to your negative and arguing with you because you want to argue.
Yep. Oh man, yeah.
That's what it's going. They just want to argue and complain for the hell of complaining. Listen, man. If you want to change, we're here to talk about change. If you want to argue, you can argue with somebody else, man. And that's the truth. Do good to the godly man. The person who wants to change, you invest into them. Let that verse go and go to Proverbs 19 and 29.
Come. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 29 reads, "Judgments are prepared for scorners."
So you don't argue. This is why you don't argue with a scorner, because judgment is prepared for scorners.
Yeah.
The correction is prepared. Listen, if you want to keep arguing, that means you need to learn the hard way. The scorner that wants to argue, let me back away and let the Most High teach you. Yep. Judgments are prepared for the scorner. Yep. So that means I don't have to argue and scream at you and lose all this energy. Most High is going to keep stinging your ass. And when you're tired of stinging and you're ready to listen, you come back and we'll talk about it. Yeah. So this is why you don't argue with a scorner, because the correction is coming, and that's going to do the teaching. Because that's the only thing you respect is loss. Have you ever been around Israelites? The only thing they respect is getting hit rock bottom and falling on the floor and crazy things happening.
Dramatic events.
King Von shit going on out there. All of a sudden you want to learn and get counsel. Yeah. It's the truth. Read on.
And stripes for the back of fools.
That's the
stripes for the back.
Stripes for the back of fools. That's what scorners need. A heavy dose of correction. And that was what's going to teach them.
From the Heavenly Father.
And that's why you back away, let the Most High intervene with the stripes, and then we'll talk about it when you're ready to listen. This is why you don't argue and go to war with these people. You got your hand up my water?
Yeah, well, I was just going to ask, judgment is talking about right here.
The punishment for making crappy decisions. The punishment, because listen, when you're dealing with a scorner, he doesn't want to listen. He wants to push his or her way. So let them go their way, and they'll figure out if it's going to work or not. It ain't personal. Well, so when you fall, I'll be here.
So we gotta stay objective, non-personal, dispassionate.
Dispassionate.
And be okay.
And then when you're ready, and you want to change, I'm ready to deal with you and help you. But if you want to keep arguing and fighting, then you need more whips in your back. You need more stripes in your back.
Change that. We're just gonna keep doing what we're doing.
So,
a couple more scriptures.
Oh yeah, you got it. I'm sorry.
Ecclesiasticus 13:1.
Okay.
Ecclesiasticus 13:1.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 13 verse 1. He that touches pitch shall be.
He that touches what?
Pitch.
Pitch.
Yep.
What is
it's
pitch?
Like tar.
Exactly. Pitch is tar. Pitch is it's not good. All right.
Thank you. Pitch is not good. You can't get it off you. Exactly. I don't know if you've ever touched tar or that's what they used to like go on roofs or like roads. Yep. You touch it, man. You can forget it.
It's dangerous.
It's like working with paint or like something.
It's worse than paint.
That
It's
can't,
tar.
yeah, but it's just something that can't get off of you.
Like those light poles,
It's
those wooden light poles you touching, your hands are all black out, you can't get it off.
Yeah.
It's like tar.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a tarry substance. He that touches pitch shall what?
Shall be defiled.
Therewith,
There
right?
you go.
So the more I touch these scornful people, guess what, bro? It's defiling me. I'm getting defiled now. I'm sitting here getting high blood pressure, stressing out, hairline going back, going way back there, right?
Listen, so you're saying that there's a direct correlation between arguing with hard-headed Israelites and hairline going back.
Way back.
I can say that for gray hair. Hell yeah, arguing with crazy ass J guy, your hair turns gray too. How about that? Hairlines and gray hair.
Your hairline will go way back. Your hairline will turn white as hell out. You sit here and you always sit here dealing with these people out. Always trying to force them to do things, and you gotta make them do this. You have ulcers out, you crap blood all day out. So you gotta do
That's
that.
another real thing.
That's a real. I'm telling you, we're gonna have health issues. Ulcers, ulcers. Hairlines going back, high blood pressure, stress. You start hating life, anger. You come home, you're a fireball at the house on your kids and stuff. And because you're processing with the sheep is you're not processing properly. You're not compartmentalizing. You're not okay. This is the sheep.
You know why? Because you can't control a lot of these things.
Yeah.
You can't control a scorner.
Yeah.
Our job is to warn people.
Come on.
And if we keep that in perspective, you warn and you fall back. This person wants to go back and forth. There's nothing to argue with. If you don't agree, I'm gonna fall back, and you're gonna figure out what happens when you want to do it your way.
Yeah.
And if we understand it, I'm not getting muddy. I'm not getting in the mud with you. A person that wants to fight and argue and contend, you do your way, and we'll figure it out later on. We'll set it up. Ain't no big thing.
And when you're ready to learn, hey, we're here.
He's going to tell you in verse 2.
Read on.
Keep going in verse 1.
He that touches pitch shall be defiled therewith.
Uh-huh.
And he that has fellowship with a proud man.
Next is Mr. Pride. There's always Mr. Pride in the camp somewhere.
Because listen, this is the mindset of I can't save everybody. You get caught up trying to save this proud guy. You don't get caught, and they'll be blame going your way too.
Yep.
It's going to explain. Read on.
Real.
Slug it. And he that hath fellowship with a proud man shall be like unto him.
Mm-hmm.
So the proud says, Most High says, what? He resists the what? Resist the
Proud.
proud. The pride go before what?
Destruction.
Before destruction. And a harness before what? Before a fall. So a proud person always ends up on the bottom.
Yep.
So I'm sitting here arguing and fighting. I should have been taking care of my sheep.
And a lot of times,
Yeah.
we're trying to save a person who needs to fall on the tail to learn. Sometimes we get in the way of a person's lesson. It's better off that we sit back here, take a step back, and let the Most High intervene. Read on. Read verse 2.
Come, verse 2. Burden not thyself above thy power while thou livest.
I can't control you.
No, you ain't about the unity. No.
I can't sit back here and make a person change.
Huh.
We have to have the ability to warn, teach, counsel, take a step back, let the Most High intercede. Then when he does, then you come back and you're ready to counsel and deal. But I can't go above my power. My power is to get up every day and teach, every day and counsel, every day and warn. That's it. If you don't want to take it past that, I can't help you. And I'm not going to get sick trying to control and manipulate a situation to get a person to do something they don't want to do. I don't want to make it too much longer. You got a verse something I want, or you just want to bring out a point?
Just a verse.
What's the verse?
It's in the same Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 15.
Just say it real quick.
Travel not by the way with a bold fellow, lest he become grievous unto thee, for he will do according to his own will, and thou shalt perish with him through his folly.
That's in the Bible?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Huh?
That's in the Apocrypha.
You said 8 and what?
8 and 15. Ecclesiastes chapter 8 verse 15.
Oh, 15. Yeah, I was in 9. That's why I missed it. Read that. It says, travel not by the way with a bold fellow. Because a bold fellow was still the scorner.
Okay.
And he says, that bold fellow, lest he become grievous unto thee, for he will do according to his will. And the point is this, that scorner is going to do what they want to do And the only way they're going to learn is through the correction and through the judgment, through the stripes. So if I know somebody is going to be stuck in their ways, you got to let them roll. They got to let them see what happens and how that plays out, and we'll determine from there what happens. That's what we have to do. This isn't hatred. This isn't emotion. You're not listening. You're going to have to fall, and we'll see what happens. And we can't get sick trying to control the situation that's out of our control. Okay? That was a good verse. Let's finish up at verse 2.
Con, Ecclesiastes chapter 13, verse 2. Burden not thyself above thy power while thou livest, and have no fellowship with one that is mightier and richer than thyself.
Mm-hmm.
For how
this person's mighty and rich, they got way more time than you do. You got all day. I don't got all day.
I was going to say that sometimes the mighty or rich person is just in their opinion. We know the verse fundamentally means you're not supposed to go to war with somebody or go in contention with somebody who has more money and finances and power than you, like the king and so forth and so on. We understand that. But sometimes you got a person that's mighty and rich in their pride. And it doesn't make sense to contend with a person who's mighty and rich in their pride or their way. You got to let that person go, man. Let the Most High knock them down a couple pegs. Read on.
Come. For how agree the kettle and the
earthen
pot together?
Okay, they don't. It's showing you again, if two things aren't the same, you can't operate. You can't operate and function if two people aren't on the same page. You can't get anything done. Read on.
For if the one be smitten against the other, it shall be broken.
Okay, we're going to let that go. I want to finish this last verse, man. We did 19 and 29. Let's do Proverbs 22 and 10. It's getting late. Like I said, we haven't finished it. I'm never getting a chance to finish this class. But it's cool. Proverbs 22 and 10.
Proverbs 22 and verse 10.
And ultimately, this is the result of what has to be done. My Waller's verse was good because it told you to like, he's going to do according to his will, so you can't do nothing with him anyway. But read that verse, 22 and 10, Proverbs.
Cast out the scorner, and contention shall go out.
And that's the point. This is why this is another case where it's okay to cast out that scorner and remove yourself from them. So that they can sit back here, and because the thing is this, as long as that scorner has you in their eyes, you're the reason why they can't grow.
Yep, they can't see it themselves.
That scorner is always going to blame you for their situation. So when you step out of the equation, then the Most High will start banging on them, and that's the only way they're going to see that it was them. As long as you're here trying to counsel and argue and yell at this person, they're going to blame you and they're going to say you're holding them back. Remove yourself from the equation so the Most High can truly teach them the lesson that they need to learn. Another example of why and how sometimes backing away from a person is the best thing for that person. Okay, read on.
Yeah. Yea, strife and reproach shall cease.
It's best to stay away from a person who's a scorner because there'll be peace in your house. There'll be peace in your school. There'll be peace in your camp.
This is after you've made the attempts.
This is after you've made the multiple attempts and they've shown that they're not trying to change.
This is the last option.
The last option is to step away and let the Most High teach you, and hopefully you'll realize it was you, so they can come back and you can work with them again. This isn't a death sentence forever, but stepping back is necessary. It's the last resort to hope that life will teach them the lesson they need to humble them, so you can keep working with them. Are there any questions? There's more scenarios that explain different personalities that you have to avoid. But it isn't enough time, and I'm not sure.
You gotta watch for the wolf.
Yep.
You gotta watch for the scorner.
Yep. You gotta watch for the scorner, the wolf, and the person who wants to bring divisions and wants to teach contrary approaches and doctrines that are unproven to the body. Then there's people you can't work with, people that envy you. You can't work with people that sit back here and see the worst in you, and then are waiting for you to fall. And have different agendas in their teaching, different agendas in what you do every day for the Most High. You can't deal with people on different agendas. There's more, but that's the best we can do in 2.5 hours. Any other questions? The water, y'all, I appreciate listening, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Shalom.
Shalom.